Broncos and one that people are floating out about there.
So I'd love to hear all you guys comment on this. The fact that anybody's talking about Tyreek Hill, like, did they amputate his leg? Like people acting like he's just going to be Tyreek Hill. Like his leg snapped.
Hold on. I think the conversation around Tyreek Hill has to do with the perspective that you have. What direction are you holding the glass before you look at it? Because there's a lot of people here in Broncos country that would probably like to see the Broncos go out and take a swing on George Pickens after he gets franchise tagged and they try to make a trade there. Well, that's going to cost you north of $30 million per year probably, at least on the deal you're going to have to pay him to extend him. So would you rather have two $30+ million wide receivers and hope that you get the ROI on
one
that?
One of them's not going to be here.
Or would you rather maybe take a swing on a bargain basement deal for Tyreek Hill, who's not going to have as much of a market, who is north of 30 years old, but is a veteran wide receiver in this league that gives you a pretty reasonable runway to say, hey, even if it's not great, we're not investing much.
I just don't think he's going to be ready to play. I mean, to put any eggs in that basket just seems a little silly, other than it's like, hey, you're on the roster, no guaranteed money. Let's, maybe he'll surprise us.
It feels like there's going to be like an 80%, maybe even 90% no thanks on Tyreek Hill sentiment until the rumors start to come out. Is he going to go back to the Chiefs? And then everybody's going to go, whoa. Yeah. Wait, maybe we should get Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I think I could see him back in Kansas City.
They
know him.
It's
they know how to deal with
him. I was him.
Yeah, and I think hasn't he on social media kind of popped them up in recent months?
He's always been complimentary of Mahomes and on podcasts talking about XYZ. Yeah.
So I mean, I could see him going there, but it's overall, I think kind of some of that moves into if the Dolphins are really tearing it down. I think a lot of people like Jalen Waddle. For the Broncos, and Chad and I will get into guys like that later, but it's people want to splash, I think, more than they want. Does this actually work? Is this actually worth it?
I never forgive John Davis.
For what did I get right?
It's a great start to a sentence, wherever it's going to finish.
For years, I'm a Dolphins fan. He's talking about they're tearing the Dolphins down. The dismantling started today. For years, he would just torture me. He'd be like, hey, man, your Dolphins are pretty good. I'm like, don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Tannehill might be the guy.
Hey, a few years ago, what the Dolphins is proof of is they're a bad organization.
Thanks.
If you're bad up top, you can put all the talent you want. You can put all the talent you want below them. And eventually, you got the ownership up top and everybody below. If it's a bad ownership, it's bad ownership, and the Dolphins are bad.
I think it also is a good reminder of how often do we hear about, that's a team on the rise. They got a young guy here. They got this. They're filling in this. They're drafting this. They got picks
coming. This is going to be the year that Tua puts it all together.
They found their quarterback, right? And they're a team on the rise, so they're going to be here to stay for a while. Yeah, how'd that work out?
Hey, man, you just described the Broncos. Be careful.
That's
the
my point.
The Broncos just came off an AFC Championship bid. The Dolphins have not.
Yeah, and they didn't really push that either. And it kind of goes back to, and where we'll get into it, but I'll put this out here now. When people are talking about these trades that the Broncos they want to make, bad organizations like the Dolphins trade a number 1 pick for Bradley Chubb.
That's true.
Yeah.
Don't be like that. Don't get desperate. We already did the Russell Wilson trade.
I would say, or they trade like 3 or 4 of them for Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's
not us
that's
anymore.
Another era.
Why you bring up the past?
That's another era. That's another era.
Yeah.
But don't do that again. Don't be one of those organizations. It's like, ooh, this makes headlines. Let's trade a number 1 pick for this guy.
But let's revisit that. When they did that, they were a bad organization with bad leadership.
There you go. Yeah, because Walton Penner were not in charge.
Walton Penner were not in charge.
I'm hearing now. George Payton's great. He's the best ever. He never did anything wrong.
What has he done wrong since then?
Since he was demoted and Sean Payton's been in charge?
What's the bad move? He found Jonathan Cooper. He found Quinn Miners. He found
did he
Pat
or did George
Surtain.
Payton? See, I talked to
George Payton.
Yeah, he definitely.
Who did what? Who did what? Who gets credit for that?
Sean Payton wasn't here for Jonathan Cooper and Quinn Miners.
Okay.
George Payton. Sean Payton wasn't here. Yeah.
No. George Payton is a fascinating case study because he's kind of like the Riley Moss of the front office.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't get credit for some of the things that he does to impact this organization, especially from a scouting and a drafting and developing perspective, because that happens behind so many closed doors and out of the limelight. But when he misses, it's very visible and usually very talked about and very public. So that's why I kind of feel like that about Riley Moss, because I actually think Riley Moss is a halfway decent corner in the NFL. But boy, when he screws up, it's either like a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown, a massive pass interference penalty at a critical time, and it makes everyone else be like, well, look, that's all he does. So I think George Payton has hit plenty of times to say, hey, he's had some misses, but we could definitely be doing worse here. And he works well with Sean Payton in a way that I did not think was organically going to happen. And I don't think it's inorganic the way that they talk about it. So I'm fully happy to have George Payton here helping pull strings in the front office.
I think it's working. That's all we can say. I don't know who gets credit for what. I think it's working. Now, Richie, last thing for you guys, then I'll get out of here. Richie brought up an interesting concept about, because this is what I just can't make a decision on this. You talk about J.K. Dobbins. Can you be invested in that guy anymore? If he's healthy, great. But is he going to be healthy? Probably not. Do you? I kind of, my heart says I want to bring him back, but I don't know. Is that a smart business decision?
He'll be cheap, and he's just not your number one. So you bring in Rico Dowdle or somebody like that, and you have J.K. Dobbins with him.
Everything with J.K. Dobbins ends in and. It's we're going to re-sign J.K. Dobbins and that's going to be how we address the running back room, because R.J. Harvey was kind of drafted in a way that we thought he was just going to be somebody that puts on the cape, the Batman cape, after J.K. Dobbins goes down, but he's not Batman. They're not the same style of back, and he doesn't fit into that role the way J.K. Dobbins did. So if you want to go out and find another version of J.K. Dobbins to fill the role that R.J. Harvey hasn't proven he's capable of, that's great. But even if you bring back J.K. Dobbins, it also involves going out and getting a Rico Dowdle or some other back that fits that same mold, so that R.J. Harvey doesn't have to try to be something he's not in year two.
445, we'll have your answer for what happens with J.K. Dobbins and the running backs, as well as the wide receivers, the tight ends, and the inside linebackers.
By the way, you guys will find this funny. I thought, I'm being very innovative. I came up with a new...
It's humble of you to say.
A new creative, innovative sports radio segment, which is sarcasm or not. Right. And so I think, because these texts come in, I'm like, are you being sarcastic? But then it just became a vessel for the texters just to insult me.
Yeah.
I was going to say with you, it's all sarcastic. Dan.
So I guess maybe we'll shelve that idea. But hey, John Davis, Richie, thanks you for coming on last hour. Buddy. John Davis, Chad Andrus, bring us home.
Chad, what do we got? Oh, the Seahawks hire a new offensive coordinator. What breaking news nobody cares about? Who's... They hired their OC, Clint Kubiak. But, Chad, we got a lot coming up. We have not been on since the AFC Championship game that the Broncos lost. They've made a lot of changes, one of them to a guy you and I spoke about a lot in those pregames. Sean Payton, what do we make of Davis Webb? Does he give up play calling? Chad and I react to all of that next.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at DenverSports.com/superfan. That's DenverSports.com/superfan.
Phillip Lindsay here. If joint pain is slowing you down, stop trying just to push through it. The professionalism at RegenRx Denver Clinic is on another level. These guys actually build a real plan for you. Wharton's jelly for damaged joints, shockwave therapy to get the blood flow going again. They map out exactly what you need. People always ask me, Phil, what should I expect at RegenRx? Clarity. That's what you're looking for. They walk through every step. They show the options, and they even schedule a 6-month booster to keep your results elite. And I want you to go check them out for yourself. And listen, the consultation is completely free, zero risk. If you're dealing with degenerative joints or long-term pain, RegenRx might be the answer. Go to regenrx.co, book your free consult, and see if the stem cell therapy is the right move for you. If joint pain is holding you back from work, from the gym, from your kids, don't wait. It's about quality of life. Invest in your future self so you can stay explosive, stay active, and stay present for your family. Give them a call today at 303-630-9770 or visit them at regenrx.co. Again, that's regenrx.co, and let them know that Phillip Lindsay sent you.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303 Law 4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303 Law 4040.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
Follow us on X at DEN Sports 1043 for up-to-the-minute information and opinions on all things Denver sports. Also, we can still call it Twitter, right? Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
We are sitting in for the fellas today, but we got Dante behind the glass, so there's some consistency going on there. Chad Andrus, we haven't got to speak about it a little bit through text since the AFC Championship game, but a lot has changed. We both were in agreement after the game that Sean Payton ultimately made a very poor decision and kind of screwed, I think, his teammates, his team, the fans, the coaches, everybody out of it. Now that we're a few weeks removed from that, how do you view the AFC Championship loss?
Well, not just an agreement after the game, agreement during the game.
During the game, that's right.
And I think the one thing that maybe some of the listeners out there have understood if they paid real close attention, but maybe the Drive listeners aren't familiar with. John and I do the Fan Football pregame show 2 hours leading up to kickoff, sometimes 2 hours and 25 minutes before every Bronco game on Sundays. And we offer a unique perspective because John is always in the stadium at the home games and I watch it on TV. So we're seeing things different ways from different perspectives, and we're messaging back and forth about the vibe and the feel. That was in the moment. That wasn't just after the fact with all the shows reacting. That was in the moment, regretting that 4th and 1 decision there, as well as some other decisions. at that time. But not to puff out the chest a little bit. The Dan Jacobs show is over here. We're not here to tell you how right we are all the time. But we did nail several things from that game leading up to it, including one of the Ellis brothers making the biggest play in the game, ironically enough. But the disappointment was crushing because of the way it went down. And when you add on top of it that we had not just once, at least twice, if not 3 times that day, weather reports on our station telling us exactly what was going to happen. Shout out Chris Bianchi.
When it was going to happen.
Yeah, he nailed it, like when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen, the direction it was going to come from, what the field would look like, right? We knew those things. Apparently the head coach was not listening at the time. Other things on his plate, understood, but Bianchi knew, we knew, and we saw how it was going to play out, and unfortunately the Broncos were on the wrong side of that coin flip.
And with that, Sean Payton said post-game he regretted probably the play call on 4th down. And nobody's there to corroborate this but my friend Sergio, who sits next to me. I leaned to him and I said, just don't roll him out. Because that's what Sean does in a lot of those situations. He can't not just QB dive forward, the obvious thing. With, Stidham's not some small guy. That's a guy that can fall forward. The interesting fallout from that game is that there was a shakeup that I did not expect Joe Lombardi to be let go by Sean Payton. They've got a long history. Sean's the play caller. And then, it comes to, are they going to promote Davis Webb? That clearly became what happened. Davis Webb is a hot name out there. For one, were you surprised Sean moved on from Joe Lombardi? Did that surprise you, the shakeup with the offensive staff that kind of happened?
I think there was a small surprise with the understanding that when that happened, Davis Webb was likely staying and being elevated.
Right.
And everything that you thought was going to happen was confirmed when that happened a couple days later or a day later, whatever.
Yeah, they had to go through the Rooney Rule and right.
You had to go through your process. But I think everybody understands. I think Sean Payton has made enough comments indicating that he has to be open and consider, more options, be a little bit more adaptable for what things look like going forward. And I think one of the things that I had brought up with Marcello on one of the Sunday morning shows here is don't just gloss over Greg Penner's role as the head of an organization, because he may not dictate or have a say in football matters. He may let the football people do the football. He's still responsible for developing leadership in his organization. And when he sees the rest of the NFL looking hard at Davis Webb, and he's a serious candidate in Buffalo, and he's a serious candidate in Las Vegas, and other teams are starting to covet what you have here, it's his responsibility to make an assessment of that and go, is it in our best interest to keep this guy in-house? And what does it look like long term? Sean Payton has 2 more years on his contract. Is it in our best interest to let Davis Webb go and grow somewhere else and pursue his dreams and what he wants to do? Or is it in our best interest to keep him under our wing in our development, and let's see how the next 2 years shake out? Because if this guy is going to be an offensive coordinator or potentially a head coach in the league, why wouldn't we want the opportunity for that to be here before it would be somewhere else? So he may not have a say, and he may not dictate and may not decide football issues, but he does decide organizational growth, development, and leadership for his culture. And he does get to weigh in on that. And regardless of if you're George Payton or Sean Payton and what your ultimate decisions are, if your boss is saying, hey, I think we should probably keep that guy around and give him a little bit more responsibility, what do you think you're going to do if that's what your boss tells you is his recommendation?
And from all intents and purposes, it doesn't seem like a terrible idea
no,
either.
Not at all.
And that's, I think, a big part of it, too, is it does make sense. It does align. And this, yes, there's a salary cap. There's not with coaches. So that it does, you do have the ability to say, we'll pay you. I think Sean Payton, that's something we, in our pregame shows, we have a segment called Point to Prove. We talk about people, obviously it's in the name, have a point to prove. Sean Payton, I think, was in it as 14 of the 17 games.
18 of the 18 games, he was at least 14. Yeah.
He was 14 because of not running the ball. Sean was he was very reflective, maybe before the Buffalo game, if I remember, talking about, driving at night, that using that analogy as you get older, the way you view things and how you process that. With Davis Webb there, everybody's saying, well, he wouldn't stay without the play calling. We know how Sean is with the play calling. Everybody that knows Sean says, no chance in hell this guy's giving up play calling. I don't know how they're going to do it. But Sean, to me, seemed open to new ideas, to fresh ideas, and that may mean Davis Webb calls a portion of the game, which is weird, and I don't think we've ever heard of that. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Sean Payton is going to continue calling the plays, and I could see a situation where Davis Webb is calling the plays. I just don't know how it actually looks. I don't know if it's as official as day one, he's the play caller, or if they kind of melt it together. When he stayed around, what we think of Sean, and we love what Sean's done in Denver, but we're not cheerleaders either. So how do you, when you heard all of this, Davis Webb is the OC, are you looking at he's going to call the plays, or it's still Sean?
I love the fact that Sean Payton appears open to having the discussion, and it's on the table. That's the place to start. But I don't want to make the leap and say Davis Webb wouldn't have stayed if he wasn't guaranteed something, because let's take a closer look. The two places he was most associated with and tied to were Buffalo and Las Vegas. Joe Brady is the coach in Buffalo. He wasn't going to get play calling duties there if he's offensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak is the coach in Las Vegas. He wasn't going to get play calling duties there. So why would you automatically assume to retain him, you had to give him play calling duties? So I think the most important thing is Sean's reflection and the fact that he's open and potentially, considering adapting in one way, shape, or form. I personally would like to see it. I would like to see some growth and some change and some proactive action to develop the offense, as opposed to reactive and saying, well, we were 14-3, we had the number one seed, why would we change anything? I would like to see them take a more proactive approach, particularly on the personnel side. But then you open up a whole nother can of worms, because let's say they do what we've all been begging for, what the fan base has been begging for more than a year now, and they upgrade receiver, and they upgrade running back, and they upgrade tight end. Do you think Sean Payton's going to let it go then, when he has more game breakers available to him?
I think it'll be more collaborative, but I think there'll be moments, because he let Davis Webb call the plays in the preseason last year. So clearly there's some sort of mentoring, something going on there. I do want to your point about proactive, Gary Kubiak and John Elway, it felt like Kubiak didn't want to replace his staff when he was here. We know Harbaugh just left Baltimore. It's never good when somebody loses their job, let's be clear. Your job is to not stay loyal to your staff. Your job is to win football games. And when guys would rather have the guys they like around versus what's best for the organization, I think that's a problem. That's why I think Baltimore was right to move on from Harbaugh. I like in this situation Lombardi was Sean Payton's guy, and he's saying, let's get better. Let's improve how we're doing things around here. So overall, the shakeup, I think it's good, because last year's gone. Next year's new. There was things they could have got better at. So I think overall, I like the moves. We'll see how the play calling goes. Ultimately, I think there will be some sort of collaborative effort, but Sean's we're calling a run play. No, we're not. So the Olympics are going on. The Avalanche are all over the Olympics, and they're having success. What do we make of the guys we've seen from the Avalanche in the Olympics? And what does it say about the team going into the second half of the season? We'll do all of that next.
Has the rubber officially met the road for Coach Prime and the Buffs?
They have to win 8 games this year. They have to be competitive. You had the Heisman, you had your son, you revamped the team, you revamped the coaching staff. Now it's time to go to work. Now it's time to win games. There is no more excuses. Enough's enough.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zach here on behalf of my friends at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, talking to you men out there about erectile dysfunction. Now, before you go squirming in your chair or changing the station, guys, what's more uncomfortable than hearing the phrase ED is actually living with it. And my least favorite part of that dynamic is just how treatable ED is. Guys, ED is a medical condition. And like most other medical conditions, yeah, you can treat it. And I'm talking about success rates with the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic treatments over 90%. All right, so schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. The first visit is just $99, and that includes a medical consult, a T and PSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. Guys, it's real simple. If the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is completely free. They have an expert staff, 5 locations in Colorado to serve you. So call them at 720-440-7900 or visit them online at RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, 2-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health.
This February, save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Ben Franklin here to talk to you about your water heater. A water heater is a vital part of your home's plumbing. When it doesn't work, it can really freeze up your routine. Call the pros at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing about water heater options for your home. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com or call 877-BEN-1776 to request an appointment.
The local pros call Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in their respective state or county.
Okay, does this happen to anybody else? You sit down with a juicy QPC, some McNuggets, and those golden fries from McDonald's. Then you take a long sip of your Sprite because you can still hear your mama saying, don't fill up on that drink before you eat your food. But you're grown now, so you do what you want.
Share and share alike with a 20-piece McNuggets from McDonald's for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Babe, your arms look amazing. Working out is paying off.
Thanks. I just wish my chest matched. No matter what I do, I'm frustrated with my man boobs.
Hey, don't beat yourself up. More than half of men have gynecomastia. It's gland tissue, not laziness. Same thing is happening to my friend Trisha's husband. He went to Dr. Cameron Dastry at Modern Surgical Arts of Denver.
For real? He get good results?
He got great results. Call him, honey.
Call today. They're offering complimentary consultations for the fan listeners. 303-470-3400 or at modernsurgicalarts.com.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Hey, it's Zach By here. Protect your home with 50 to 80 exteriors and their James Hardy siding. TimberTech decking, and Pella Impervia fiberglass windows. They also offer 60 months, no interest financing, 5280 exteriors, the altitude of quality.
Need a plumber? Euro Plumbing has the lowest prices in town. Rock bottom prices on whole house repipes, sewer line repairs, even water heaters. 720-500-3000.
Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
The legendary duo of ODB and Mariah Carey right here on this song. They just.
What do you think those conversations are like?
I've heard the story that ODB just kind of showed up and started freestyling to the beat. I don't even know if he was originally supposed to be on the song, and I don't know how he ended up in the studio. But yeah, either way.
Did he take the same limo he went to go pick up his food stamps
on
unemployment
on MTV?
Yeah.
ODB, what a character, man. But yeah, this song. That's a huge song, but yeah, Old Dirty, rest in peace from the Wu-Tang Clan. If you ever want to be entertained, go on YouTube and just see what an entertaining guy he was. The Olympics are going on, Chad. The Winter Olympics. I like the Winter Olympics a lot better than the Summer Olympics. I think the events are just a lot more. There's just so much more uniqueness to them. Almost sometimes a lot more danger. Almost looking at skeleton and luge and all of that. But
there's a lot more speed.
That's
events.
what it is. Speed.
Everything requires speed. There is some scoring stuff, but everything requires timing, right? All of the sliding events, all of the skiing events, even the ones that are freestyle stuff. Most of the like the mogul freestyle stuff.
That stuff's crazy.
The dual moguls was nuts.
The dude
there
that
were
lost
crashes
control.
everywhere in that thing. I don't know. Maybe Jeremy Bloom can weigh in if he's out there listening about the dual moguls, because it's a new thing that he never did.
Yeah.
But there were crashes left and right, men's and women's, on that thing. Olympics is fun. My brother is there. My brother and his wife are at the Olympics. He sent me.
Really?
He was like center ice this morning for USA Sweden women's hockey. He had great seats for that game this morning.
That's cool, because the women's hockey's on kind of a generational run right now with what we've seen them. The men's hockey, 8 Avalanche players, all 8 have scored. McKinnon, Makar, and Devon Taves are with Canada. Landeskog with Sweden. Lehkonen and Kiviranta with Finland. Necas with Czech, and Brock Nelson with USA. All 8 guys have scored, Chad. Now, I'm going to be honest. McKinnon, Makar, and Devon Taves scoring with Team Canada, I'm not that impressed. It's not.
You mean McKinnon getting a power play goal on the same line with McDavid and Crosby with Makar at the point on the power play? That didn't impress you?
Yeah, that's not me sitting there going, oh my gosh, we're really showing the world how these guys are. It's so, but seeing we've got, there we go, right on TV. They're talking about what's the best OC situation, but seeing Lehkonen and Kiviranta, scoring with Finland and all those guys. It's cool to see the Avalanche players knowing that the success is out there individually, not being attached to the McKinnons, to the Makars, independently having success. Because I think previously, last year, before the trade deadline and how they've replenished this roster, they were very top heavy with guys. And I think part of the success this year, up until recently where they kind of stumbled a little bit, was predicated on getting those plays from everybody else. So it's kind of what we've seen this year, I think, being confirmed with Brock Nelson continuing what he's playing through the year, Marty Necas kind of coming in with the Avalanche but having success there, and then Lehkonen always being who he is.
I hadn't thought about it that way. You're almost kind of saying like Michael Porter Jr. proving he's not a Jokic merchant.
There you go. Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at it through that lens, but yeah, super talented roster. It'll be really interesting to see what the Avalanche look like and what the approach is coming out of the Olympics with this many guys being active. If anything changes, if the way that their different stars are being used, particularly, I think everybody looks at that Team Canada power play and Makar and McKinnon are on that and they score. Why don't we score on the power play? And granted, I understand McDavid and Crosby aren't the other 2 guys out there on the line, but I think looking at how some of these guys are used by their countries and maybe what they learn, if the Avalanche maybe take anything and gather anything from that, or if this is just a complete unplug, reset, we went so hard for so long. We ran out of gas before the Olympic break. We're going to come back fresh, start over, and get back to what we were doing early in the season. I don't know what the approach is going to be. I just want the results to be the same that we saw in the first 2 months.
Yeah, and they, one thing in Denver sports, I'm getting a little sick of injuries. It's every team, it's every sport, and they didn't have Landeskog, and Will's talked about it. There's something about the presence of that guy that goes much further than the stats and the talent and the skill. There's something about him in the locker room, him during the game, that seems to really matter. Dante, as far as the Avalanche and the Olympics so far, kind of what you expected. Nice to see. How have you looked at it?
I think it's been awesome. I don't think I've really paid attention to Olympic hockey like this until this year. The Four Nations kind of really piqued my interest.
That was good.
Was that last year's All-Star break?
Yep.
The amount of passion that these guys play with over there. And it's cool to see all these guys split up and still have success, kind of what Chad was pointing to there, that they're not. Obviously, they're very good for the Avalanche, but they're able to still do it on these somewhat lesser teams, especially if you look at like a Landeskog or the Czech team. So the fact that those guys are still able to go out and be the best players on their teams, it just points to the depth of this team. But no, I've been dialed into it, and I'm excited. It feels like we're on a collision course for USA-Canada in the final, and I'm very excited for that.
That's what we want to see, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody wants to see that.
That's what everybody wants to see. Brock Nelson doing pretty good. USA, I've been able to catch their games more than Canada, just the timing. I watched them Denmark, actually losing early on in that game, and then Germany the game with Germany yesterday felt like a game. Do you ever watch a game where you're like, why are you letting these guys hang around? Like, it kind of felt like that. So we got to.
What's interesting about the bracket and the way the qualifying round is going to go tomorrow is if Czechia wins against Denmark, you're going to have Natchez playing against the Avalanche guys on Team Canada. And if Sweden wins against Latvia, you're going to have Landeskog against Team USA.
I bet. So Marty's going to have to go against Canada.
Yeah.
What's
the Jon Snow meme from Battle of the Bastards, where it's one guy with a sword and the entire army is riding at him?
That's got to be, but that's the thing about hockey that's interesting. The scoring can happen weirdly. You can have a goalie stand on his head for a game, and you can even outplay. We've seen games this year where the Avalanche outshoot teams 3-1 and barely win or lose the game.
Or a 7-game series against Dallas last year,
where
they dominate 2 out of every 3 periods and lose in 7 games.
So that's going to be interesting because, and I want to go on record. I say this every time. Every time a goal is scored in hockey, my mind is blown. The skill, the chaos, I'm like, I cannot believe these guys have the skill to do it. But the ultimate question, what do you got?
No, it doesn't happen as much in the Olympics, but it at some point in the NHL playoffs every year, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I throw something against the wall and throw my hands up in the air and go, this is 85% luck. It happens every single year. This is 85% luck who wins the cup. I just get so frustrated.
Yeah, speaking of what we've been watching, and Chad, you might be able to answer this better than myself at least. Is it the same game that we're watching in the Olympics versus what you see in the NHL?
Looks
or is
different.
The skill level that much different for these countries here?
I haven't gotten to watch as closely as I normally would have liked. You do have the best players, so I think there's skill level. It's just they don't have the time together. They don't have the repetitions. They don't have just the constant working together, working things out. Normally, you have a larger sheet of ice in the Olympics. But because of the arena issues and the construction and everything they're going through in Italy, I don't think they're playing on what they would normally play on. But normally in Olympic hockey, you get that larger sheet and the open free skating. The skill is really on display, and it's a lot more freewheeling and fast. You're not getting that, I don't think, as much as you have in previous Olympics. It ain't the NHL, but I think the national pride and what it means to the players kind of makes up for some of that when you're watching, in terms of getting wrapped up in the intensity in the competition of the games.
Yeah, it looks different out there. And I think part of that is some teams are NHL guys all thrown together. Other teams play together. And the guys, so their style of play is just different. So there's a lot of clashing of styles. It's like that movie 21 Jump Street where Jonah Hill says, fight normal to the other guy. It's like you have a game where it's like, this isn't how we're used to hockey being played because we're going against a team that just does it different. So, and with the sheet of ice, it does feel like there's a lot of figuring out going on out there. But it's been interesting watching Team USA. Okay, so real quick, who do you got? All the Avs guys are on Team Canada. Only one guy's on Team USA. Do you go USA versus Canada, or can you bring yourself to cheer against McKinnon and Makar?
No, I won't cheer against them. I mean, I'll want the best game, and I'll want the team that plays the best to win. I won't cheer against them. I won't actively root against them. No, I won't.
There you go. That's a good way to do it. Dante.
I think I'll be rooting for Team USA, but it'll be one of those where I don't really mind who wins at that point, because rooting for Canada, and I know people may not like this comparison, but it's almost like rooting for like the Dodgers in baseball, where it's
because
like,
it's McKinnon, it's Crosby,
yes.
So
everybody that comes up, you're like, gosh, this guy's awesome. Like, it's hard to root against him.
But you have no problem rooting for USA basketball.
No, I like rooting for USA basketball.
It's the same thing.
No, he rooted for Team
USA.
USA.
I'm saying I see myself rooting for Canada that way.
Yeah.
Just like this last year in the World Series, I was rooting for the Dodgers. Like
I see what you
I
mean.
enjoy seeing those high class of athletes performing on the biggest stage like that. So I think it's a win-win. I'll probably be rooting for whatever my bet entails at that point, but I don't think I'll be living and dying if the USA doesn't come out and win gold.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but we do Canada, USA. That's the game we want. The NBA, the All-Star game, is it back? And a narrative starting again about Nikola Jokic. What do we think of all that? Chad and I filling in for the guys. We do that next.
If the goal is to win a Super Bowl,
Let's go, bring it out!
do the Broncos need a new top target in the wide receiver room?
What he brings to the table, I do believe that he can be your main wide receiver on a championship team. All he does is work. He's a great leader for that football team. I like to see more, but I really do like Cortland, and he could be the main guy on a championship team, no doubt about it.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Brandon Stokely here. My guys Trevor and Tate with Embers Golf just returned from the PGA show in Orlando, Florida, and they brought back a truckload of brand new equipment. Check out the new Quantum drivers, the latest tailor-made QI4D lineup, fresh Vokey wedges, and Cobra's newest drivers, and 3D printed irons. How about that? If you want the cutting edge of golf tech, it's all at Embers Golf right now. All the latest and greatest is in store. Come in early before the spring rush. Embers Golf, where passion meets the green.
AutoNation's New Year, New Wheels event is going on now. Drive any new or used vehicles 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Save thousands on your favorite cars, trucks, and SUVs. Plus, we'll buy your car for top dollar today. Don't miss 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry to your nearest AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. On select models with approved credit, interest accrues from date of purchase. See store for details, subject to in-store verification.
2026 is shaping up to be an amazing year to buy a home in Colorado. If you've been dreaming about getting into your first place, upgrading for more space, or downsizing for a simpler lifestyle, now is a smart time to start planning. And the first step is easy. Get pre-approved. With American Financing, you can get it done in 24 hours or less, so you'll know exactly what you can afford before you start shopping. Rates have been dropping, home prices are steady, and more homes are hitting the market. You could score the right home at the right price and lock in a monthly payment that fits your budget without stretching yourself thin. And unlike renting, every payment you make goes toward your future, not your landlord's. And here's a misconception we'd love to bust. You do not need 20% down. Many buyers purchase with as little as 3% down. So if home ownership is on your 2026 goals list, let's make it happen. Call American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans, at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids.
Call 877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? That's cars with a K.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Is your money doing everything it can for you? Like automatically pushing more of your money to savings every day?
I don't think so.
Then switch to Huntington Bank. And let's get more from money. Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require enrollment.
Stream Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Dover and Cecil, The Drive, and all your favorite shows on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan app. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Ennis.
With the Olympics going on, the NBA doing everything it can to make its All-Star game something fans can watch and enjoy. Chad, did you watch it yesterday? And is the All-Star game back? It's getting pretty good remarks.
I kind of think it's back.
I think it's back.
I kind of think it's back. I watched. I enjoyed it. It was fun watching the guys get out there and compete. It was fascinating to just kind of think about how this came into play and how it came into being. Not just because they changed the format with a world team and 2 USA teams. I think Adam Silver has to be thrilled with the result of that, with the competition he saw. But it also, let's be honest, it was playing into NBC's investment in the NBA and how much they paid for the rights, because they put it right in between their Olympic coverage and they put the world against the USA, and it fit perfectly into NBC's 3-week run here of Super Bowl, Olympics, NBA All-Star, Olympics, all crammed into, hundreds of billions of dollars of investments for their company moving forward, for the next several years. It was all riding on this 3-week window, and the NBA delivered their small part of that compared to the Olympics and the Super Bowl. It was much more interesting to watch, and I think the fans really appreciated it.
Yeah, I found myself caring who won. I found myself wanting to say, I thought once Jokic and Murray were out, I would tap out, but I stayed with it. Kawhi, good moments from him. Wemby kind of trying to take it over after he talked a big game and backed it up. I thought it was a really funny moment when, was it who on Team US? Was it Steph that hit a 3 and Giannis' son was cheering and Giannis told his son to stop cheering?
It was probably Ant, because Steph was out, right? Steph wasn't playing.
Oh, Steph wasn't playing.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. It had to have been
Ant was on one team, and then Steph was on the older guy's team. So it was probably
It was Kawhi.
Kawhi's run.
It was when Kawhi went off. And Giannis' son is thumbs up, and Giannis grabs his son's arms and puts him down like, no. After Team USA or the world team lost their first game, you saw Giannis come off the bench. He wasn't playing, but he's arguing with the ref. It got competitive there. It really did. I think having the shorter games mattered quite a bit. The older team ran out of steam at the end.
I bet they're going to shorten them even further. They were, 12 minutes, and I bet you they're going to be 10 if they continue to do it.
They should. But our guy Jamal Murray was in there. He's a little rough early on in that game. Missed a layup, airball to 3. But he played quite a bit, but Nikola Jokic did not. And prior to the game, Kevin Durant, who normally is very mild-mannered and easygoing with his opinions and doesn't point fingers at anybody. I'm being very sarcastic, Dante, when it comes to KD right here. But KD, before the game, talked about Jokic and Luka, and he named them specifically and how they participate in the All-Star game. Here's what KD said.
You should ask the Europeans and the world team if they want to compete. Because when you look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now, let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. But these two dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. These dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro. And I'm just thinking a lot of times, I'm just saying that I can read between the lines. And it's not just about you. It's just an overall topic that everybody's been talking about. You just happen to ask me that question.
So overall with that, I thought KD was actually trying to spark kind of, tune in, look at this rivalry, kind of talking trash to build excitement. I didn't really, as much as I like Jokic, I didn't really have a problem with Kevin Durant was doing right there.
No, I didn't have a problem with it because he's right. He doesn't care.
Right.
But Kevin Durant is the king of what about.
Yeah.
What about this? What about that? Anytime someone brings up anything, he's got a what about for it. This one, I think, is justified. It's true. Jokic and Luka don't play hard in that game. They don't care. They don't compete. I think they came into a situation that was dictated by players before them to where that tone was already set, and that was the expectation when they became all-stars. It turned, and that tide shifted yesterday primarily because of Victor Wembanyama. And I'm curious as to if Luka and Jokic had been healthy all year and were feeling good, and Giannis and SGA were healthy out there with Wemby, and Wemby went with that message, what it would have been like if they would have invested, if they would have cared, or if they still would have been like, sorry, young buck, you can try this and you can do that all you want. We ain't down with that. If they would have been healthy and everybody would have been there, I think it might have been different. And I do think it might be different going forward if you ever get that dynamic, because the world team has the 5 best players in the world right now.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, the front court of Giannis, Wemby, and Jokic.
Well, put
you got
Giannis,
Shea and Luka, and you can bring them off the bench. You can do all kinds of stuff with that.
Put Giannis and Wemby and SGA on the floor. Do you think Kawhi Leonard is scoring 31 points in a quarter?
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Well, and Jokic and Luka both have battled injuries this year, and I think, obviously, I love Jokic. My main thing there is, though, with all the guys that were already out, Luka and Nikola going out there and playing anything to not make it, because then at that point you would have had 4 of the 5 best guys not playing.
Yeah, they made a cameo.
They made a cameo, and I think that was good. Anthony Edwards, great player. He won the MVP. A very humble guy, so I was shocked to hear these comments about Luka and Jokic after the game.
No shade towards Luka and Jokic, but they 2 of the best players in the league. They're not trying to play no All-Star game. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's funny that they're ignoring the fact that Jokic has been out, and it looks in recent Nuggets games he has not looked like he's all the way back, whether it be conditioning, the knee's still bothering him. So it's funny that they're calling him out, but we had texted about it a little bit, us 3 in a group chat. Does Jokic's lack of availability in the All-Star game concern you about his health?
I think we should probably be a little bit more concerned than we have been, and I think a large part of this, and Dante, I want to get your thoughts as well. I think a large part of this is we've taken for granted his availability for so long, and then we missed him for a month, and we got a harsh reminder, and we saw how bad it could be and how frustrating it is to watch without him, that we just assumed when he came back everything would be back to normal and he wouldn't be gone again, or he would be 100%. And he's not. So it does give me cause for concern, particularly with all the other injuries they faced.
I think that's a fair concern to have, especially because he hasn't looked great since coming back as well. The turnovers have been a huge issue for him since returning to the lineup. On the Luka and Jokic not playing particularly hard in All-Star games, do you think that has to do with them not being from America and they don't really have a connection to the fans as much as maybe some of the other Americans do? Because obviously the game is played here, the league is in America. Do you think they're just like, if this game was played in Serbia, I think Jokic would be playing a lot harder than what we see him do?
It's an interesting point to it. I think it's kind of a weird thing that Katie and Ant have started, is if prior to Jokic and Luka, everybody was just out there fist fighting on the court and knocking guys down for going to the lane. And then Luka and Jokic came along and everybody started taking it easy.
Yeah, LeBron's been taking charges and picking up technical fouls for 22 years in the All-Star game. No, I think the only reason Luka even made a cameo yesterday is because it was in Los Angeles. Even though it wasn't crypto, it was the Intuit Dome. I still think the only reason he went out there at all was because of that. and there were a large number of Laker fans there, and he felt a responsibility. I think the point about if it were like in Serbia or if it were in Europe, Jokic would feel more of a responsibility to play
so. I think it's a good
for
question.
them, but I still don't think that he takes exhibitions seriously. And like to your point of the turnovers since he returned, I think to a large degree what he's doing in working his way back in is experimenting. Because he saw how everybody got to play, what everybody did, saw some guys get opportunities and maybe saw some strengths they could play to, and he's going to figure out how to maximize that. And I think a large part of what he's doing now with these different lineup combos, especially without Aaron Gordon, without Payton Watson, is he's just trying stuff. He's just toying and experimenting, and he's going to continue to do that, and that is a large reason for the turnovers, and it's why he's going to look a little sloppy in addition to a wrist and an ankle and a knee.
If we win the championship, nobody cares. So that's what it comes down to. So, yeah, hopefully Jokic, the Nuggets kind of get back on track after the break as they do start to get more healthier. The Broncos, one name left the Broncos organization so far this offseason. Is it a bigger deal than everybody might believe? Who is it? We'll get into that next.
After missing 16 games with a knee injury, is something wrong with Nikola Jokic?
I'm watching Jokic, and if you're just looking at the stat sheet, and Adelman's, quoting the stats after the game, and I got it. But if you know the standard that Jokic has set for himself for us to judge him by, I mean, we're just not seeing the best version of that guy right now.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Hey, Brandon Stokely here from my team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Does the air in your home feel like the desert? You don't have to suffer any longer. Get a brand new humidifier for the lowest price of the season. Everyone should breathe easy and healthy in their home. What are you waiting for? Call Rocks Heating and Air for a free, no-obligation estimate. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair, ROX, Rocks, Heating and Air.
One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. What a deal.
Your new morning groove. Iced coffee from McDonald's, any size for just $1 until 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Men,
It's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
What's going on, everybody? Phillip Lindsay here. And I've learned to grind through injuries and keep moving forward. But now that grind is becoming a breakdown. If you're ignoring joint pain, you're just waiting for a surgery you don't want. At Regenerex, they use your body's own biology, like stem cells, PRP, shockwave therapy, to repair the damage and get you back in the game. They focus on regenerating the joints, not just masking the symptoms. So you need to give my guys over at Regenerex a call today and schedule a free consultation. The number is 303-630-9770 or visit regenerex.co.
When you've been serving Colorado as long as I have, you see a lot of new law firms come and go. Many of them aren't even from here. They don't know Colorado law the way we do. I'm Rob Wilhite of the Wilhite Law Firm. For 47 years, we've been fighting and winning for Coloradans. This is our home. We care about our community, and we care about the safety of every resident who lives here. So if you've been injured and need real Colorado experience on your side, call the Wilhite Law Firm. 303-GOOD-LAW. The Wilhite Law Firm. Experience you can trust, results you can count on.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan's brought to you by Williams Jewelers, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Leading off with the big story of the day, here's The Drive with Zach By and Denver, Colorado's own Phillip Lindsay.
John Davis and Chad Andrews sitting in for the fellas today. The Broncos, a name left that could affect the team. We're going to get to that in about 20 seconds. But before then, calling all wrestling superfans, we have your chance to go to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. It's the Superfan Send-Off presented by 303 Law 4040. Here's what you'll get. A pair of 2-night tickets to the event. It is a 2-night event. Round-trip airfare for 2 from Denver to Las Vegas, 2 nights hotel stay, and $500 Visa gift card. For more information and to enter, head to denversports.com/superfan. I have been in that stadium, the Raiders stadium. I saw Kendrick Lamar there. It's very cool. They honor Raiders of the past, and they honor Eric Dickerson, who played there 1 year at the end of his career. So the Raiders are really grasping it, trying to convince people they're still a relevant organization. But you can go to the stadium. It's super cool. Laugh at all the Raiders stuff. 2-night pro wrestling event. I grew up liking wrestling. Chad, you grew up in Texas, back in like the territory days, and saw a lot of that cool stuff.
Yeah, and actually, my mentor in broadcasting, a guy named Bill Mercer, rest in peace. He just passed away like a year or so ago. Was almost 100 years old. But someone who called the Ice Bowl, who called baseball games with Harry Carey, who was a news reporter there. Covering the JFK assassination in Dallas, and when Lee Harvey Oswald was shot by Jack Ruby, he was one of the reporters in the room. My mentor was a voice of world-class championship wrestling in Dallas, run by Fritz Von Erich, and he would do it. And he would always joke about it. He would call it wrestling. Right, because it wasn't really wrestling. He called it wrestling, but he would be he was a TV voice for World Class back in the day, Bill Mercer.
Yeah, and that's Fritz Von Erich, the family tragedies covered in the movie The Iron Claw that came out a few years ago. It's the territory days. I think Dusty Rhodes bounced around the Texas territories. His son is Cody Rhodes, who's the biggest star and probably headlining this event. So yeah, to enter to win, head over to denversports.com/superfan. Biggest wrestling event of the year. It's iconic, and so much that it's now 2 nights. But Chad, the Broncos, we know that Davis Webb caught a lot of the headlines. Vance Joseph staying surprised a lot of people. but there is a name that left the building, a name that you've been high on, that you kind of had pinned to replace Vance Joseph should he leave. That's Jim Leonhard. He's now in Buffalo to be their defensive coordinator. Low key, is this something we could see have a bigger effect on the Broncos than some people might realize?
Yeah, I think so. And, it remains to be seen what they can do with a replacement and how much the equity he built and the knowledge he passed along carries on, and what they do the same, what they maybe do different, how maybe they coach Jade Barron or Riley Moss differently moving forward. But I think myself, I know Cecil Lammey for the better part of 2 years, when we go back to Vance Joseph's defense giving up 70 points in Miami, and always just having a bit of a question mark in the back of our mind is how long is this going to last, whether Sean tires of him or he turns it around so much that he gets another chance and becomes a head coach somewhere. And both of those things have been in play over the last 3 years. I think the last 2 years, there are several people that have thought, well, the reason Jim Leonhard was brought here and the reason after one season he was promoted to assistant or associate head coach was because he was the defensive coordinator in waiting, and potentially by some people's accounts could eventually even be a head coach in the NFL, that was going to happen. But VJ is still here. He didn't get the opportunity. Jim Leonhard, I think, was tired of waiting. Believe what you want about the impact one secondary coach can have. I will say this: as soon as he arrived, Pat Surtain won Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say, with that, yeah, Surtain kind of had a down year the previous year. I think he was a little hurt. So did Jim Leonhard, and remember, I don't remember something, did he come in with Sean and Vance, or was it the next year?
The next year.
The next year. So the 70-point game, he was not.
He was not
He was
here.
not part of that. Okay.
He came the first year he was here. Surtain wins DPOY. He gets promoted to associate head coach, and now he's on to Buffalo.
Yeah, Surtain was good. I look at it like Jaquan McMillan that first year was pretty good, kind of a ball hawk, but we watched him really develop over 2 years, and we watched him specifically get better from 2 years ago to this season, and how versatile he's become. Riley Moss, really, a guy that I don't think anybody thought would develop into a bona fide number two that's getting thrown against when he's opposite the best player in the league. So I do wonder about that. How much was Jim Leonhard's presence in the development of those other guys that were able to make plays? Jaquan was making plays all year. Point out Pat Surtain, he did get Defensive Player of the Year under Jim Leonhard. Whether you think Leonhard had an effect on that or not, it is what happened. So it's something to look at that happened. You mentioned it, Jade Barron and his development is something that I wonder, how much that affects, because they also fired the cornerbacks coach as well. They hired the new DB coach from USC, Doug Belk, this past weekend, kind of under the radar. So this is a defense that did struggle a little bit in the last few years, especially down the stretch. So that is kind of where I wonder. The secondary was not so much of that struggle as it was. Everything was just kind of getting beat, but I don't think it was everybody was getting burned. So with Jim Leonhard not being there, it is just going to be interesting to see if there is an effect at all. Maybe there's not. Maybe the Broncos keep going because they're talented and VJ is a good defensive coordinator. But Jade Barron, just kind of a disruption in what was a defense that was great but also struggled. I am interested to see what happens, especially a guy like Jim Leonhard that was considered a rising star in the NFL.
And let's not bury the headline here. Look, you can talk about the impact of coaches, and they are valuable and all they want. The defense looked different with and without Brandon Jones. The players are still going to make the difference. The players on the field are still going to be the guys that decide what things look like, what the numbers look like, what the outcomes are. But I think the eye test was very clearly different with and without him on the field and what they were capable of doing. And we saw that, up into the bye week was one defense that fans had an impression of, that they thought they were pretty confident in and thought was a top-tier defense in the league. And then post-bye week, they saw something very, very different that they questioned.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and we're putting a lot on VJ. But then you kind of go back to, okay, Jim Leonhard's part of that too. And so maybe different voices in the building matter. One thing I'll go back to with Jim Leonhard, that it's one of those, when I go back to the development, is with Brandon Jones out, it did look different. And there was a struggle there. You can kind of draw that up. It's weird with Pat Surtain gone, there wasn't as much of a disruption. So I do wonder how much of that was film and a lack of adjustment. But to the Jim Leonhard, who this falls under, I don't know. PJ Locke looked pretty good especially in that Buffalo Bills game. There were some struggles but he eventually came around. He started making plays. PJ Locke's presence became less of a something to acknowledge when the defense struggled, and he is in the secondary. And so that's another thing with Jim Leonard that I look at is we saw these guys that were not big names. Brandon Jones was a free agent. He was brought in to start. Hufanga was brought in to start. We know who Surtain is. But they really just across the board were really talented. How much of that is good scouting and how much of that is development, and how much of that development was Jim Leonard?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question that they probably can answer from behind closed doors, and Sean Payton may have a different opinion on it than Vance Joseph has on it. And for all we know, they may have encouraged Jim Leonard to leave. They may have said, after the bye week, this didn't look the way it was supposed to look in the secondary. Or, the first half of the season, how many Riley Moss penalties are we going to have to deal with and undertake, right? Maybe that was put on him, and maybe it said, you know what? 2 years is good. Go ahead, and if you have an opportunity, go ahead and take that. Your work here is done. Maybe it was their doing as much as it was his desire to leave or to upgrade his role in his position. I don't know that answer for sure. All I know is he's been highly respected and highly coveted in the NFL for a really, really long time. Sean Payton was the guy that finally got him to bite and come to the NFL. He got elevated after one season to an associate head coach role, and now he's moved on to be a coordinator.
I did find it interesting because Buffalo was not his first interview. He interviewed with the Chargers. He did interview a couple other places, Jim Leonard, and I was wondering, is he interviewing bad? Because he wasn't immediately getting hired. And generally when a guy's got this rising star aura about him, he gets hired right away. So that I did wonder about that, but he might have been holding out to see if Vance, that was the other thing. You don't know if it was like, well, I got to see what happens with Vance, and teams just moved on, and then it just worked out for Buffalo. Maybe the Broncos did want to move on from him, and they're like, by all means, Buffalo looks good. Go play there, go coach there. So that one, kind of the way it shook out is the Vance thing I think everybody was surprised with because guys lost jobs that nobody expected to. There was head coaches that became available that people were not counting on, and there was jobs. But maybe I'll point it like this. It wasn't good down the stretch. Maybe they let Jim Leonard go. But overall, this is a defense that was highly respected around the NFL. So it's likely he was plucked because of the success he had.
The one thing that would raise a question to me about that is I think one of the first interviews he had was with the Chargers. And that was what I was viewing as an opportunity for Jim Harbaugh to pluck somebody that he had coached against in the Big Ten and had problems against his defense and knew the kind of headaches it caused. And when he went to that interview, which seemed like it could have been an easy layup because of Harbaugh's familiarity of going against his defenses, and then he didn't get the job. Right. So that was the one thing that may raise a question otherwise.
When he interviewed there, when Jim Leonard interviewed with the Chargers, I thought, okay, they're going to hire him. It looked like kind of a targeted interview, like this is our guy, mentors left. So Jim Leonard leaving, it's just, I'm not saying it's everything. It is something to watch with this defense, a defense that was catching a lot of heat, a lot of criticism. They looked great in the AFC Championship game. I mean, they were ready to go, but that's because the team they were playing is kind of overrated on offense. But they went to the Super Bowl, so who am I to say? With that, just with Vance Joseph, weird question. Were you happy he's staying as the Broncos defensive coordinator? Do you think that's a good thing? Or do you think with the struggles down the stretch that maybe the Broncos might have wanted him to go to another team? I think they're satisfied with him. I think if the Broncos were done with him and they liked Jim Leonard, Vance would have been gone. Jim Leonard would have been promoted. I think they like what Vance did. But overall, do you think there was anybody around that maybe was hoping Vance would kind of move on?
Probably one or two. There always is. It's a big organization. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous because you don't know what is next. You can't guarantee you're going to improve. You can be confident that you're going to improve. You can't guarantee that you're going to improve. I like the continuity, especially if they are going to experience change on the offensive side with play calling. I like the continuity on defense. I think Vance has done an admirable job here. I think he probably should have been more seriously considered for head coaching opportunities than he was. No, I'm good with him staying. I don't think you can complain when you were in every single game you played with the exception of one this year against Jacksonville. I don't think that you can rat out your defensive coordinator and say he was a problem when there was only one team that kind of easily took you apart and handled you.
And there was some real fluky things in that game too. The pass or the false start into the personal foul, because early on in that game, I think it's good Vance is staying. I agree. I think the continuity is necessary. One thing about guys like Jim Leonard, and I'm going to say it to Davis Webb too, is everybody's saying, well, maybe Davis Webb will take over play calling duties. Sean Payton's one of the best play callers of all time. And we think this 31-year-old is just going to be better in his first year. We can't wait to get rid of the play calling of one of the most brilliant offensive minds ever because he went for it on 1 4th down. That wasn't offensive coordinator. That was bad head coaching, and I think Sean would have that back. But everybody that wants play calling taken away for Sean, or people that may have wanted to move on from Vance. I didn't hear a lot of that, but you got to be careful. There's guys with reputations, good Sean Payton and Vance Joseph for a reason, because other guys don't like to go against him. So I think it's good Vance is staying. I think it's better for the Broncos if Vance stayed and Jim Leonard left than if Vance would have left, maybe getting a head coaching job and Jim Leonard take over, because that's a guy taking over for a great defensive coordinator. And so my big thing is just with all of this is the guys that we have tasked with leading this Broncos team that have the good reputation for good reason are still in place. I think that's big for the Broncos.
It would be an interesting exercise if you were to break down every play over the last – we're not going to go 3 seasons. We're going to go the last 2 with just Bo Nix as the quarterback. If you were to break down every play and say the Broncos failed at this play, and was it because the player didn't execute what they were supposed to execute, or it was the design of the play that was called was just clearly visible, seen, and the other team sniffed it out and destroyed it. It was a bad play call. Because I think that split in how you interpret it would be an interesting result as to how that came back, because I think everyone wants to be very optimistic and excited about the future of the franchise because they have a very good quarterback going into the 3rd year, and they don't want to remember how many opportunities he missed that were drawn up to succeed.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of other opportunities that weren't, that put him in a bad position and failed. But going back over 2 years and breaking those failed plays down, I would like to see what that breakdown looks like, as this was a bad play call for this down distance and situation, and the defense knew it and destroyed it, versus this play call was wide open for a huge gain and they didn't execute it.
That's interesting because 2 things, and we'll get into this a little later too. I thought the AFC Championship showed me Bo Nix was doing more than I think a lot of us realized for the success of the offense. That said, it's something you and I touched on down the stretch. Before the Lil Jordan Humphrey touchdown against the Bills, which was a decently long play, and then the go-ahead to Marvin Mims, which, by the way, it took 18 weeks or whatever for them to listen to me about Marvin Mims, but good for the Broncos. They did not throw deep after the first 3 weeks. And I'm not saying they didn't have any connections. They legitimately did not throw the ball deep.
For 15 straight games.
15 straight games. Because Bo Nix was overthrowing guys every single time. And when that happened, you took away Marvin Mims. Everybody looks at Franklin's speed because he was so open. Mims is the deep ball, big play guy. That's a guy. They did not do it. And Sean is as arrogant. They talk about quarterbacks being a gunslinger. Sean is the gunslinger head coach, if there ever was one. And for him to take away the most exciting play, a play that the deep ball play, which he's drawing guys open. When Bo overthrew those guys, they were wide open. I think that said that as much as everybody's like, Sean wants to prove his guy right, Sean, I think, was pretty realistic with where he was with Bo Nix. And that's an interesting point you make, is he had to pare it down, take away the deep ball because it wasn't working. So what else was maybe being missed on execution? Because you can't just take away everything.
Yeah, and then you throw in how many drops did the receivers have across the board from the whole group?
Yep.
And how many times did Adam Troutman get called for a penalty? Or, you throw in all of the different X factors of the play was right, and it was right there to bust something either for, a 3rd and 4 into a 17-yard gain, or it could have been a 45-yard touchdown. The play was there, and the ball wasn't for whatever reason. There were a lot of those.
And Kerry Colbert fired, wide receivers head coach. you could tell down the stretch Sean was getting irritated with the receiver drops. And we get on the fourth down. You could look at Will Lutz. I'm talking the AFC Championship game. Jared Stidham, pretty good timing when he'd release the ball. Guys coming out of their breaks. It was behind Cortland Sutton, but there was a third down that Cortland Sutton dropped that would have put them in field goal range.
Yeah, probably would have won the game if he catches that.
Yeah, if he catches that, they probably win the game. So we like to pin it on the one thing, but there was a lot of execution. It was not on Stidham, basically. It might have been a little behind him. Cortland wasn't looking at the guy. I don't know how guys get to the NFL as wide receivers and there's draw. It's crazy to me. But Sean, he's bringing back Johnny Morton, who apparently used to cuss out Troy Franklin every day, so he's probably happy. But Sean clearly had some frustration, clearly missed Johnny Morton because he was back at Broncos practice once he was let go by the Detroit Lions. He was like a consultant in the playoffs. So these drops, that's another thing that I think got Sean pretty hot towards the end of the year.
Well, we talked about some of the self-reflection comments that Sean made and opening up and some of the cues he gave. I thought it was interesting that he went out of his way to make that comment about you catch the ball with your hands in the
yes,
right, like almost like our wide receiver is not our wide receiver coach is not telling our guys to catch the ball properly. It like you have to make that inference when he fires Kerry Colbert, and I'm like, do the guys really not know that? Like, you're telling me Cortland Sutton, who's been in the NFL for 8 or 9 years, like,
Pro Bowler,
he doesn't know the proper way to catch a football with his hands,
right?
And it's the coach's fault, right? When Pat Bryant drops a key ball against Jacksonville, it's the coach's fault because he wasn't taught properly. Like, that's really where we are. Like, is that factual?
That was strange. It went from we got it, not drops to we're literally in gym class, and he's showing Sean Payton's showing him how to catch the ball.
It's like they used to make fun of John Beilein, the old Michigan basketball coach who was really good and had success everywhere he went because he went to the NBA and he went to the Cleveland Cavaliers and he started practice there the same way he always did with college kids and with the younger players, and he would literally have them 2 hands on the ball, 2 feet on the ground all the time, doing all their drills to secure the ball. And the NBA players were like, who is this guy?
You think, hey, we made it here, but they're dropping the ball. And that's ultimately what happened. And part of that clearing out of the coaching staff, I think the defensive side of the ball, specifically Jim Leonard leaving. Who else did they leave? They lost on the offensive side. The DB's coach, they fired him. Yeah, and then was there another offensive guy coaching that left outside of Lombardi? But either way,
the quarterback's coach. Lynch?
He got promoted elsewhere.
No,
he got promoted with the Broncos. Yeah, they announced that. With the Davis Webb hiring, they announced that. So
No, Davis Webb was the quarterback's coach.
Yeah, and so they had to have somebody replace him. Yeah. So with that, though, overall, I think, and I said it earlier, and I'm going to come back to it, it wasn't good on offense. I don't like that anybody lost it. That's not cool to be like, yay, this person got fired. But I think it was necessary for Sean to say, whether I like these guys or not, we have to get better. And he made changes. And Joe Lombardi said he was in one of those moods. I think the mood would have been, I've told you guys to fix this. And it wasn't fixed. So now I've got to make a change.
And that makes sense. That makes total sense. You trust your guys to be in leadership positions, and you trust that they're going to do and get done what you ask them to do. And when they don't, then they become accountable.
Right. And with that, I do think there's some to what you said. Greg Penner looking over saying, why is it we got this guy, Davis Webb? Everybody's talking about him. Let's keep him around. But I also think, to your point, he was interviewing for head coaching jobs. That was offensive. I think that was offensive coordinator interviews, masked, because you can't bring the guy in like that. So a lot of changes with the Broncos coaching staff. Overall, Dante, Vance Joseph sticking around. Is this a great thing, or did you want him with your Arizona Cardinals?
No, I don't think it would have been good for either side if he went to the Cardinals. I don't think he would have been successful there, and I think the Broncos are better off having Vance Joseph still in the building.
I think he still lives down there.
Oh, his place down
in Arizona?
there?
Yeah, when he did his interview with Peter Schrager in the bye week, he was in, I think, Glendale, Arizona, so he probably still lives there. So, Broncos coaching staff, see if it has any impact at all headed forward, but some big names, one big name staying, one big name leaving. Zach and Phil are gone, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. We got the 3 count, and that's coming up next.
The champ! Are you ready?
Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at denversports.com/superfan. That's denversports.com/superfan.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's renter's insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the four walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Mike Rowe here with a fun fact. Did you know that 50% of the air that you breathe inside your home comes from your crawl space? Yeah. Whether your crawl space is wet, musty, or your floors are bouncy, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to repair your crawl space. Schedule a free inspection with Groundworks, the foundation and waterproofing experts.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Everything is getting more expensive. Gas, groceries, and especially rent, which can go up every single year. But as a homeowner, you have a secret weapon. While the world gets pricier, a fixed-rate mortgage stays exactly the same. That stability isn't just peace of mind, it's your family's financial foundation. American Financing understands home ownership creates wealth. Every monthly payment builds equity and stacks your net worth on autopilot. It's how the middle class actually wins the long game. Your home is a flexible asset. You can live in it, rent it out for passive income, or pass it down to your children. Renting gives you none of that. American Financing salary-based mortgage consultants can help you get pre-qualified with no upfront fees. Call American Financing today and get a pre-qualification letter in 24 hours or less. Call them at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000 or online at AmericanFinancing.net. Secure your rate, build your wealth, and get the cash you need. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hi there, I'm Kim Rudell, owner of Wills and Wellness Estate Planning. Did you know that taking the time to create your estate plan isn't really for yourself, but it's for your loved ones? Show your family some love and give them the gift of peace of mind by creating a plan that outlines your wishes in case something unexpected happens. We can help you get organized by creating a new plan or by revising an old one. Find us at willsandwellness.com or give us a call at 720-266-8190.
I'm Tiffany, founder of Harlem Pilates. When I couldn't find Pilates in my neighborhood, I started a studio from my studio apartment. Chase Inc. helped me grow from 1 Pilates studio to 3. Because when you start small, you're going to need some big help.
With the Chase Ink Business Cash Card, you can earn up to 5% cash back on business essentials, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Cards issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. N.A. member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Hey guys, boy Stink here today by my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-944-3333, 720-944-33. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. You want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Every day at 3:30, the drive comes off the top rope to hit you with a 1, 2, 3.
Finally, The Rock has come back to Denver.
Tape your wrists, stretch your spandex, and oil your hair. Here's Zach and Phil with today's 3 count on the drive.
John Davis and Chad and Andrus filling in for the guys. What is it? Come out the top rope. Win it. There, I did my best. 1. Chad, first topic in the 3 count. Winter Olympics overall. We talked about it a little earlier. You spoke about it the best. I think you used the word speed. That's why I love the Winter Olympics. Yesterday, I like the downhill, the big air. I've been watching that, men's and women's. That is insane. They just sit at the top. They go down. I love the skeleton. They're flying down kind of head first, luge. Just overall, I've been highly entertained by the sports that I generally would never get to see.
Summer Olympics massively outdraws Winter Olympics, but I kind of like watching winter better. Mm-hmm. It's stuff you never get to see. It's crazy. Flava Flav did skeleton today in Cortina. He's 66 years old. He did bobsled and a skeleton. Big supporter of a lot of the Olympic teams, donating money for their training and stuff. It's pretty awesome. I think it's fun. My brother's over there right now, so I have a vested interest. He's sending me pictures and videos. He was at the women's hockey game this morning for Team USA. He was at figure skating yesterday. I think it's a blast. I do think some of the stuff is a little ridiculous. I know a lot of people are getting into watching curling. Curling is what, darts on ice. I think if you're the shooter, you should have to have a beer in your offhand and not spill it for points, right? Don't hold the broom for balance. Some of the stuff is a little ridiculous, but the speed stuff, all of the luge, skeleton, bobsled events are cool. All the ski events are cool.
All the ski events
The
are
moguls
awesome.
are just stupid. I don't know why we do that to anyone's knees, hips, or ankles. Jeremy Bloom again. Explain.
That is exciting to watch, and every one of them was like, oh my god, the whole time I'm watching it. It's the moguls has been unbelievable. I do like the winter. I'm with you. I think it's because everything's just so much more unique and specific to it, and I'm also with you. I think curling is exceptionally boring. I don't know why anybody gets so hyped about that.
Yeah, it's a bit much, and it's on all the time.
It's like the number one thing that they watch. Dante, Winter Olympics. You got what have you watched? What have you liked?
The moguls freestyle.
It's unreal,
crazy, and I don't get how it's not based on your time. It's like a score plus your time is factor. What's the point of keeping your time if it doesn't really matter? I'm usually not a fan of sports that are all judge based. I'd rather have rules and scoring systems to it than it's just like, oh well, this judge thought you deserved this. So the figure skating, not for me. But there's just so many niche sports in the Winter Olympics too. I question how people get into these sports. or like what is the competitive level in this sports? Like if I train for the next 5 years, would I be good at X, Y, and Z? Or maybe not me specifically, but if let's say like a college athlete trained at some of these sports, like would they be better? Like how many people are really curling in the USA, or how many people are truly doing the bobsled in the USA? Like are there massive cuts going on through these sports?
Well, I had women's biathlon on, and there were like 60 participants, and none were from the United States. It was like 60 different women skating or skiing and shooting in the women's biathlon. There were no Americans.
Okay, speaking of, did you see that guy running up the hill at a 6-minute mile pace in skis going uphill?
All
Did
the
you not
athletes,
see that, John?
All the athletes freaking out about it, about what an amazing feat it was.
He ran a 6-minute mile uphill in skis?
In skis.
What's his combine 40 time going to be?
Crazy. I don't even know how you are able to lift your legs like that over and over, but it was one of those where you just watch the 30-second video and you're like, wow, that's impressive.
Did you see the still photos the other night of Jordan Stolz, the speed skater, and his quads compared side by side with Saquon Barkley's?
I didn't see that. Who's bigger?
They were like equivalent.
They were almost identical.
Oh my gosh! Because Saquon's quads are as big as my waist. I'm not joking. Like they're so big. And with that, I feel the falling to 8th place in the figure skating, I felt really bad when that happened. When the whole he's 21 years old and everybody gets on him. It's like that's a lot of pressure. And lastly, women's hockey, just dominating. Just outright dominating. That's what it's been a good. You mentioned the nation. It's been a good back-to-back 2 years for hockey, I think, as a sport and garnering interest around everything.
For the U.S. and Canada, not for the rest of the world.
Yeah, for the U.S. and Canada. Keep going on the 3 count.
1, 2.
Chris Paul, after 37 years in the NBA without a championship, he retired this weekend. It's actually 21 seasons. Second all-time in assists, second all-time in steals, part of the NBA 75 team, 2006 Rookie of the Year, 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defense, one of the best point guards ever. He did not win a championship. CP3, where do you rank him, point guards all time?
Ooh, he's pretty high on the list. He's definitely not in the class of Magic Johnson or Oscar Robertson or, I would even say Jason Kidd is higher than Chris Paul. That's an interesting one.
I think
he's probably somewhere floating in the top 8 to 12.
I think so. I think that's fair. Dante, he failed to bring your Suns a championship. Chris Paul, your thoughts on the retirement?
He did fail to do that. But he got us there, which was pretty cool. I think he's closer to 5. I think you still have to put Steph ahead of him, Magic as well. Isaiah Thomas ahead of him as well. But I think I would take Chris Paul over Jason Kidd. I haven't watched as much Jason Kidd as I have Chris Paul, but I mean, the way Chris Paul is able to orchestrate an offense and just get everybody in line, he makes every single big man that he's ever played with incredible. Every single big man is going for 20 and 10 when you play with Chris Paul. He led a lot of different teams to great success, obviously not championships, but he was great with the Clippers, he was great with the Hornets, great with the Rockets, great with the Suns, great with the Thunder. A lot of people forget that he had that 1 year with the Thunder that really turned around that franchise, and I think a lot of their success today comes from when Chris Paul was there for that 1 year and showing these guys how to do it, specifically SGA. So I think he doesn't get enough credit, and I think he's become kind of a laughable meme almost at times with all those antics that he does. But I think there's a really good basketball player in there, and it stinks that he never got to win a championship. But if you look at his regular season success, he was in the playoffs basically every single year, and he turned around a lot of bad franchises compared to before he got to those teams. So I have a lot of respect for what Chris Paul did.
To me, there's a lot of Isaiah Thomas in Chris Paul in that, no, he didn't have the championships and he didn't have the scoring prowess of Isaiah. I'm not talking about style of play, but the fact that if he was on your team, you loved him and you appreciated how great he was. If he wasn't on your team, you thought he was a really dirty, awful player and you wanted no part of him.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan my whole career because of that. And Dante, Chris Paul appreciates. We're going to send Chris Paul a clip of what you just said.
Please do.
Just last thing with Chris Paul, we'll punt on third down. Any issues with how he went out? Was it disrespectful with the way this career kind of ended, being traded, kind of a buyout? Where do you guys land
It
on
was
how
a little sad to see one of the all-time greats go out that
Yeah.
way, where he was trying to get a buyout, and then he went to a different team, never really did anything. Did he sign with the Raptors, I want to say?
Well, he was traded there, and then they just said, don't bother.
And that makes sense. So it just, you know, the league either retires you or you retire from the league. So it happens a lot. It's not specific to Chris Paul. We saw it with, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice. These athletes go out in sad ways a lot of times, even the all-time greats.
I think he would have been out sooner had he won a championship. I think that kind of played into it. But
yeah, he was hanging on for one last shot, and he thought they could rally with the talent they have on the Clippers, and then it did not work out well at all for him there.
Yeah, like I said, we'll punt on third down. But speaking of basketball, the All-Star game. Jamal Murray was there. What did we think of Jamal's weekend? And a really cool moment from Nikola Jokic. We'll get into all of that next.
Has the rubber officially met the road for Coach Prime and the Buffs?
They have to win 8 games this year. They have to be competitive. You had the Heisman, you had your son, you revamped the team, you revamped the coaching staff. Now it's time to go to work. Now it's time to win games. There is no more excuses. Enough's enough.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
What's going on, everybody? After that romantic Valentine's, I know there's a bunch of you guys out there who are thinking about popping that question here soon. Am I right? Well, let me save you some time and money by telling you something as simple as this. Whether you're starting your next chapter with your perfect diamond engagement ring, or celebrating a new milestone, or finally just doing something special for yourself for once, this is where it all begins. Imagine the finest jewelry legends all in one store together, making you feel just like family, and their surface is going to reflect that. So come shop the finest Zeus diamonds in Denver. They have every size, shape, and price range you can imagine, and the largest selection of engagement ring settings I've ever set eyes on. And not only are they going to share the secrets of the business with you, they're going to give you the best price in Colorado, guaranteed. So why wouldn't you want to create moments and memories for yourself and the ones you love by going to Williams Jewelers, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche, Denver's first family of fine jewelers, located in Cherry Creek North on 3rd Avenue, and also in Inglewood and Broadway and Bellevue. And don't forget to mention my name, Phillip Lindsay, when you step through one of those doors.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. And get ready for the workday.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zach By here. For 50-80 Exteriors, Colorado homes face more risk than ever from intense weather, including wildfire exposure. 50-80 Exteriors prioritizes fire-resistant, non-combustible, low-maintenance exterior upgrades with reliable quality installations. Protect your home with James Hardy siding, TimberTech decking, and Pella Impervia fiberglass windows, all designed to stand up to heat, weather, and time. They also offer 60 months no-interest financing. 50-80 Exteriors, the altitude of quality.
Is your money doing everything it can for you? Like automatically pushing more of your money to savings every day?
I don't think so.
Then switch to Huntington Bank, and let's get more from money. Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require enrollment.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Want to partake in our contests? Check out the rules at DenverSports.com. Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss, presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Dante, there you go. It's Jamal Murray. And Dante Gomez, always on top of it. When he's not behind the glass, he's out working hard as the leader of the Chris Paul public relations team. So no, Dante's doing a really good job there behind the glass. Jamal Murray made it to the All-Star game. This was legitimately, I mean, we've had a lot of championships and stuff, but Jamal getting there, given everything he's dealt with between injuries and just people saying maybe he's not motivated when he comes into the season, to being the healthiest player, and right now I think probably the team MVP of the Denver Nuggets. I thought it was super cool to see him get that All-Star nod finally.
It was super cool to see him earn it. I'll definitely say that from the start of the season, come in being ready to go, ready to play, shouldering the load with the numerous injuries the Nuggets have suffered and continuing to sustain a high level of play. It was great that he was rewarded and had a chance to be there. I don't think it probably worked out the way he had envisioned, but neither did Team Canada in the Olympics 2 years ago when he was playing there. I don't think that worked out anywhere close to what he envisioned. The first game he played in for the World yesterday, he was off to an awful start. It was terrible. It was a little better in the second game, and then, of course, in the three-point shootout, he got eliminated really early right on that. I didn't even see any of that.
Yeah, I saw it. He got the first bad score, if that makes sense, and then the couple guys, Bobby Portis was in there, and then some people started to fall off. What had happened was who's the Hornets' 4th overall pick?
Con Knippel?
Yeah, he was great. Devin Booker, Dante, came in and cooked in the first round. I mean, absolutely cooked. Dame Lillard, obviously we know, won it. Jamal got like 18. It probably wasn't the performance he wanted. I don't think he cared too much, but it would have been cool to see him do it. I think Vashawn Leonard won it for the Nuggets back in like 2004, so the Nuggets have had somebody win it. And then the game came. Jamal's out there in the All-Star game. He airballed a 3. He missed a layup. I felt like he was pressing. I felt like he wanted to prove he belonged there.
And he wanted to take that hero shot when the game was close at the end of the first one. And he got rejected. He just got it swatted right back in his face when he tried to come up clutch in that one. I don't think it was the experience Jamal would have liked to have had.
You know what I love about it? Is that Jamal's sitting there struggling, and his best friend, his best teammate, just sat on the bench and let it happen.
Oh, yeah, like you're on your own on this one. Like I don't do All-Star.
So enjoy it. Now you know why I don't come here all the time. But, no, it was cool. Dante, just seeing Jamal Murray in the All-Star game. I think to Chad's point, it's the bigger thing that he got acknowledged for how well he's played this year is kind of what to look at with Jamal there.
Yeah, I think the bigger aspect of it was how well he's played in the first half of the season to be able to earn that honor of being an all-star, but nothing very exceptional. I think you needed a 25 to move on to the finals.
Yeah, it was. He was
contest,
already,
and I think he shot 16, so not particularly close to moving on to the finals. And then in the game, same thing. He didn't really get anything going, and I think some people might call him a Nikola Jokic merchant, but
no. Look, you haven't seen your guys win the title, so to call him a merchant, no, I'm just kidding with you.
I'm just saying that he certainly does a lot better when he's out there with Jokic in any setting. We saw that in the Olympics last year. We saw it in the All-Star game this year.
Have you seen it But I think when Jokic was out this year, I think we saw a pretty good version of Jamal Murray. Throughout him not being there.
No, I think he embraced the role and was ready to carry the weight. And when guys continued to go down, he continued to play at a high level. He helped that team go 10-6 when I think people were optimistic if they could go 6-10 while Jokic was out. So no, I don't have anything to say about Jamal's play for the Nuggets so far this season. Look, before we move off of this and move to the rest of All-Star, are we okay with the Damian Lillard winning?
Yeah,
and
how
being
weird
in the
was
3
that?
point?
I was okay with that. He's on a team. He's on a contract.
Well, you're a resident baseball guy. You're the only one here that still cares about baseball. But okay, so let's say Iron Man Chris Bryant doesn't play all year for the Rockies, but he just comes and wins the home run derby.
I think if
we're
I'm
okay
the
with
franchise, I would be mad. But yeah, I think I think it's a cool thing for the athlete to be able to go out there and do. And it's not like Dame is some Joe Schmo. Everyone knows who Dame Lillard is, and everyone knows how good he is at 3-point shooting. He's on a roster. I think if he was retired or if he
Craig Hodges
wasn't on a team right now, I think that would be fair. But he's on the what is he on? The Timberwolves?
No, the Trailblazers. He went back to Portland.
Yeah, he's a Trailblazer right now, so I think that's okay.
Craig Hodges won it in the early 90s, and the next year he wasn't on a roster, and they put him in the 3-point contest.
I think that's
he was blackballed from the NBA. That's an interesting story.
Yeah, that is.
If you ever get into that
is
also one more thing on Jamal Murray. Talked a lot of big game of no, I'm going to compete once we get into that game, and then he wasn't very good. So I think that was just a little ironic.
Well, maybe. I think he competed. I just don't know if it went the way that he wanted it to. I think he was trying. Real quick, just because I poke fun, your Phoenix Suns, way better than anybody could have thought they would be this year.
They hit the season win total before the All-Star game.
Yeah, they did.
That never happens.
They've been quite the surprise this year. So I wanted to make sure I give you that there.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to our first-round matchup here in Denver.
Yeah, I hope. Dante, don't push it.
What, 3 versus 6?
I think
That'd
so.
be pretty fun.
I think that could happen. Jokic with Boogie Cousins. I thought that was a really funny just kind of exchange that Jokic had. One thing is, my cat's name is Boogie, and so I wanted to post that with me every time I see my cat because Jokic goes, Boogie. He gets all excited, but nobody would get it. But, Nikola Jokic, everybody says he doesn't care, things like that. That reaction to a former teammate of his, a guy that was very good in the NBA for a long time, I think that kind of pushes against this whole doesn't care thing that people say about Jokic. And it's not just Boogie Cousins. When he sees any of his former teammates, he's always elated to see them. He really appreciates everybody that he plays with.
Yeah, he really connects with people, and I think appreciates them for who they are and what they bring, not only as players or athletes, but just what they bring as humans in relationships. And I highly recommend, this is, over a year old now since it's been released, but if you haven't read Mike Singer's book, Why So Serious About Joker, you will get a different perspective than the narrative that was out there forever of this guy doesn't even care about basketball and the things that he said after they won the finals, we can go home now, and what the casual fan kind of impression of him was. If you read that book, you will see it. He is a very, very different person that cares deeply about what his team does, what his legacy is, how he's perceived, all of that. So much so that I think you can probably even interpret the fact that he came back when he did because he still has a 1-game pad for eligibility for postseason awards this year, and things like that matter to him.
Yes.
If you think that he was just sitting back cool and kicking his feet up and didn't notice or care that SGA won MVP over him last year and it didn't ruffle his feathers at all, you are sadly mistaken. It bothered him. And he came back when he did because he is still eligible for postseason awards this year.
I think so. And one thing I want to point out, too, is Jokic's whole game is based on, efficiency. It's doing the right thing at all times. Playing well in the All-Star game doesn't get you any close to an NBA championship. So why go out there and do it? And I get everybody would like to see him play. I don't think he's 100% yet. And that's why him and Luka weren't out there. And I'll just make excuses for him for all day because he's my favorite athlete of all time, second to John Elway. But, Jamal Murray, overall, very cool to see him out there. The Miami Dolphins cleaning house. 2 big names released. One of them has a connection to the Broncos. The other one, should he have a connection to the Broncos? Who are these players? We'll get into that next.
If the goal is to win a Super Bowl,
Hey, let's go, bring it out!
do the Broncos need a new top target in the wide receiver room?
What he brings to the table, I do believe that he can be your main wide receiver on a championship team. All he does is work. He's a great leader for that football team. I like to see more, but I really do like Cortland, and he could be the main guy on a championship team, no doubt about it.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
Still haven't filed your taxes? Hey, you're not the only one. A lot of good people fall behind. But here's the thing. The longer you wait, the harder the IRS can hit back. Penalties stack up. Interest piles on. The letters get more aggressive. None of it magically disappears. It's why I always tell folks, call my friends at Advanced Tax Solutions. These are not generalists. They don't dabble in tax problems. They live in this world. Resolving IRS issues is all they do. Maybe you're 1 year behind. Maybe you're 10. Maybe you've got unfiled returns, wage garnishments, bank levies, or you're just losing sleep wondering what the IRS is going to do next. Their licensed tax professionals can step in fast, talk to the IRS for you, stop the stress, and start putting a real plan in place. And listen, waiting never makes it better. Every day you delay is another day the IRS gets to tighten the screws. One quick call to Advanced Tax Solutions, that could be the start of a quick resolution. So take control of your tax situation before the IRS does. Reach out to Advanced Tax Solutions today and breathe again.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jeff's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination, where Sammy, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge. And Sammy does that for free too. In no time at all, Jeff is back on the road, ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Need a new water heater? Euro Plumbing has lifetime warranties, great financing, and low pricing. 720-500-3000. 720-500-3000.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Ja Rule getting in an argument on an airplane with Tony Yayo of G Unit. That was a viral clip a week ago. Those guys are never letting that feud go. Dante doing a good job with the music behind the glass.
Real quick, John, on Ja Rule. Do you think he's more known for his musical talents or the Firefest?
It is the musical talents, but the Firefest did rival it. That's I forgot about that.
That's how I know him mostly. I think maybe I'm a little too young for him, but
yeah, your generation would know him more for the Firefest.
I feel like that'll be his lasting impression.
Yeah, I think so on that. So that is the craziest story I've ever seen. So with the Dolphins today, Chad, the day kicked off with announcements that the Dolphins have released Bradley Chubb and Tyreek Hill, wide receiver Tyreek Hill. We'll start with Tyreek Hill. I think he dislocated his knee and tore his ACL. So he really beat that knee was really hurt. So I don't even know if he's going to be ready with what's happening next year. But the Broncos do need a wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's out there. He's a guy you wouldn't have to trade for. Is Tyreek Hill a guy you would consider bringing to the Denver Broncos?
Not whatsoever. Okay. Not at all. Zero interest. One, he's injured and won't be ready for the start of the season by all accounts. Two, he's old. Three, he's a head case and he's a headache. And this team, I think, in large part, had a 14-3 record this year because of the individuals they had in the room and the way things are done around here. And you can say what you want about Cortland Sutton and whether or not he's a true number one receiver and whether or not he deserved the last couple of contracts and the disputes that he's had asking for more money. But the one thing he does is he shows up and he goes to work and he shuts his mouth.
Yes.
And that's not something that Tyreek Hill is known for. And look, Tyreek Hill's a bad guy. Plain and simple. I'll just put it out there. He's a bad guy. He's had lots of problems off the field, and now he's old and injured. So we'll see how long that leash is when you've worn out your welcome in a couple of different ways with different types of people. I would have zero interest here regarding him, especially when you already have a small, speedy receiver on the roster named Marvin Mims.
I was going to say, for one, stylistically, they actually have that guy and what they need. And you and I will get into it around 4:45 today. But stylistically, what they need at receiver, he doesn't fit. So there's that. You don't know what he's going to be. This knee is tore up. I mean, he tore his knee up.
Dislocated knee, torn ACL, multiple torn ligaments.
So to think that a guy at 32, a guy who was, and I agree with this too, not a good guy. He was tweeting, I forget what it was at the end of not this past season, but the previous year. He said something to the media about not being in Miami anymore, and it was all in the media. It was ridiculous what was going on with that. So he's a diva, he's a distraction. But from a football standpoint, I don't think it makes sense. You can't give the money to this guy whose whole game is predicated on speed, that's now in his 30s after playing in the NFL all this time, and expect that he's going to be the matchup nightmare that he was. At one time, he was probably the worst matchup of anybody ever in the NFL. I mean, the way he played and what he was capable of, you couldn't stop him. But he was in Kansas City, a team that could kind of control that behavior because of Andy Reid, because of Mahomes. But no, you bring him here. We can't have him just acting upset because he doesn't fit within the synergy of this team. To the Cortland Sutton point you made, we had a Thursday night game a year ago we watched, Broncos Saints. Cortland Sutton did not have a catch in that game. You knew that because you looked at the stats. You did not know that if you talked to Cortland Sutton because he didn't say anything about it because he's about the team. And you just don't get that with Tyreek Hill.
No, not at all. And you get all kinds of problems off the field, too, with legal troubles and anything else.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just being,
we're not talking just not a good guy in the locker room.
Yeah.
He's not a good person in society.
Yeah, so we're all out. Dante, devil's advocate, you don't have to trade. Maybe the money's all right. Do you see any upside to Tyreek Hill in Denver?
I definitely see some upside. He's low risk in terms of money. You're not going to have to trade for him. There might be the revenge factor of, the Chiefs wanted to trade me. Let me go into their division and show them what they've been missing out on. I think he's still wildly talented. Obviously, we'll see how the speed translates, but he was never a John Ross when it came to the 40. He never had the numbers like that, but it was just on the field speed. When you had the pads on, it just looked different. So I don't know if that's going to be gone, but I think there's something to be said that the Broncos could maybe use some ultra talented, maybe not the best person or best locker room guy. I don't think that's the worst thing for a football team sometimes.
Well, then give it to me at middle linebacker. Give it to me at inside linebacker. If you're going to have a guy with, let's call it sandpaper, right? A guy with grit, a guy that is a little rough around the edges, give it to me at a position that hits people.
Yeah, give it that. So here's this came in on the text line. Yeah, if you're going to get it, do you want it at receiver? Is certain locker room bad guys can be less distracting at different positions. I know that's a weird thing to advocate for, but this came in on the text line. You mentioned it at the top of the hour. This is where I think Tyreek Hill's going.
Raiders.
I think he's going to the Chiefs.
No.
We both think AFC West, and it's because Kansas City could contain him. He's shown that he maybe wants to go back there. The Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect Raider. He's washed up, known for speed.
They do
injured,
take washed up guys.
If you're talking about getting back at the AFC West, it's a perfect Raider profile, destined to fail.
You think Tom Brady does that after what he went through with Antonio Brown?
And
after what the Raiders went through with Antonio Brown.
He won a lot of games with Antonio Brown. I think he won a Super Bowl with Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he did win a Super Bowl with him, but then the next year Antonio Brown took his shirt off and quit in the middle of a game. But it's interesting. I think the Raiders and the Chiefs are both. Where do you think he ends up?
I didn't thought about the Raiders until Chad just said it, but now that he said it,
I could see that. Honestly, I could see that with Brady in charge. We'll see, but Tyreek Hill, no in Denver. It's too disruptive. You don't know what you're getting, and it could not work out, and then you set back even more. Bradley
guys over 30 also don't fit the timeline for this team.
That's
I'm
a
not
great point.
interested in a bunch of dudes over 30.
That's
Chad, what's the timeline for this team? Aren't they trying to go out and win next year? You can add a vet that's over 30 and get 1 year out of him, 2 years out of him.
I've got a name. We're going to do it at 445 that is above 30 that I would like to see with the Denver Broncos. And shout out to Dante. He's not in his 30s, but advocating for the older generation. Bradley Chubb, released by the Dolphins. You could talk about Russell Wilson and everything there. How bad, as bad as the Russell Wilson deal was, how bad did the Denver Broncos fleece the Dolphins in that Bradley Chubb trade?
They got a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and running back Chase Edmonds, who never really saw the light of day here, for Chubb and a fifth in that deal. That first-round pick was then part of what was spun in exchange for Sean Payton.
I think the Broncos, not hyperbole, one of the best trades in the history of the Denver Broncos.
Clear-cut win. And that's what I go back to, and we will talk about it later. Don't trade first-round picks because you recognize the name of the guy you're trading for. Bradley Chubb, I had met him. He's a super nice guy. Injuries really kind of messed up his career because people forget when he came out, as Mike and Mark dubbed him, the Hall of Fame 5 quarterback class. That was Darnold, Allen, Mayfield. There was 3 slam dunk picks in that draft, though. It was Saquon Barkley, it was Quentin Nelson, and it was Bradley Chubb. It was supposed to be draft him, put the gold jacket on him the day they walk in the building. Because of injuries, Chubb didn't really get to live up to that. The Broncos recognized that. They recognized where they were at in a rebuild.
at the time, I'm like, I didn't think he would be traded because I didn't think they were going to get a first-round pick for him. So the fact that the Broncos were able to kind of spin that around, just really good. It's kind of a message, too, as the Broncos go into this offseason. You know, be careful if you're going to trade for a guy, understand the compensation and who you're actually getting back.
And in Chubb's defense, he's not terrible. I mean,
no, he's still a good player.
Sandwiched around the torn ACL 2 years ago. His last 2 seasons, he's got 19.5 sacks.
I could see him. And for one, he's not coming back to Denver. Let's just do that. There's no reason to. I could see him with Baltimore. I could see him with, Buffalo. I think there's some good fits out there for Bradley Chubb. But overall, just a really good trade for the Denver Broncos that they were able to help rebuild. What do you think, Chubb? Do you got to decide where does Chubb fit, Dante?
Not here in Denver. I think they're just too deep at pass rusher, and it doesn't make sense to bring Chubb back here. And it's weird that we all unanimously can say that the Broncos won that trade, and it feels like we were saying that the day after the trade was made. In real time, it was a win for the Broncos, and then it aged even better. So I don't know what the Dolphins were thinking when they did that trade.
That's a great point. At the time, it looked like a good trade for the Denver Broncos. That's a really good point, Dante. Calling all wrestling superfans, we have your chance to go to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. It's the Superfan Send-Off presented by 303 Law 4040. Here's what you get. A pair of 2-night tickets to the event, round-trip airfare from Denver to Las Vegas, 2 nights hotel stay, $500 Visa gift card. For more information and how to enter, head to DenverSports.com/superfan. NFL.com, Nick Shook. He ranked quarterbacks in the NFL. Some outrage over where Bo Nix landed. Where do we fall on that? We'll get into that next.
After missing 16 games with a knee injury, is something wrong with Nikola Jokic?
I'm watching Jokic, and if you're just looking at the stat sheet, and Adelman's, quoting the stats after the game, and I got it. But if you know the standard that Jokic has set for himself for us to judge him by, I mean, we're just not seeing the best version of that guy right now.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Phillip Lindsay here. If joint pain is slowing you down, stop trying just to push through it. The professionalism at RegenRx Denver Clinic is on another level. These guys actually build a real plan for you. Wharton's jelly for damaged joints, shockwave therapy to get the blood flow going again. They map out exactly what you need. People always ask me, Phil, what should I expect at RegenRx? Clarity. That's what you're looking for. They walk through every step. They show the options, and they even schedule a 6-month booster to keep your results elite. And I want you to go check them out for yourself. And listen, the consultation is completely free, zero risk. If you're dealing with degenerative joints or long-term pain, RegenRx might be the answer. Go to regenrx.co, book your free consult, and see if the stem cell therapy is the right move for you. If joint pain is holding you back from work, from the gym, from your kids, don't wait. It's about quality of life. Invest in your future self so you can stay explosive, stay active, and stay present for your family. Give them a call today at 303-630-9770 or visit them at regenrx.co. Again, that's regenrx.co, and let them know that Phillip Lindsay sent you.
One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. What a deal.
Your new morning groove. Iced coffee from McDonald's, any size for just $1 until 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, what's up? It's Zach here. And if you're looking for your new go-to spot in Centennial, the Basketball Social House is it. Award-winning food and drinks, an incredible weekend brunch, and a brand new sports bar entertainment space where you can catch every Colorado game. Even if you're not playing, it's a great hang. But if you are, their private basketball suites are unreal. Full court, lounge, music, TVs, the whole setup. And because you're hearing this from me, get half off your first private basketball suite rental. Just use code HALFOFFHOOPS. Trust me, you're going to love this place.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through March 22nd, switch to Comcast Business and get started with 150 megabit internet plus Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Or ask how to lock in your rate for 5 years on a qualifying internet bundle and get a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. For a limited time only. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303-LAW-4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Denver Sports 1043 to stay up to date on all your local teams. Denver Sports 1043. The Fan. Happy President's Day, Denver.
NFL quarterback based on last season. It wasn't a let's rank them overall who's the best. It was specifically off of last season. Have you looked at this list?
I have. I looked at it a little bit this morning. I've got it up right now, and it's broken down into tiers. Let's see. There are at least 4, and I think maybe tier 5 might just kind of be in everybody else that is not. No, there is a tier 6. How far does this go down?
It's 63. It's 63 quarterbacks, so I think they rank.
There's a tier 7. There can't be a tier 8.
Who's the last? I haven't gone as far down. Who's 63?
Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
Who started a couple games,
and
for
I think
the Vikings,
they won it, and I think they did win a game with him, but he did
well,
not
it was
do
the game they had all of the turnovers. They had like the 6 turnovers.
and
or whatever.
Yeah, their defense got 6 turnovers, and they won with Max Brosmer, the 63rd best quarterback in the NFL. Bo Nix.
By the way, just before we get into this, 45, Russell Wilson. 44, Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, Russell Wilson was playing with a torn hamstring, according to him. So that's what he came out and said, threw 5 touchdowns with a torn hamstring, greatest of all time. Way to go, Russ. His PR team is currently working around the clock to talk about how it's the best 45th ranked performance in the history of the NFL. Not in the 40s. Bo Nix, 18. One ahead of Jalen Hurts, who was the defending Super Bowl MVP, a guy that he did beat earlier in the year. Bo Nix is 18 for the 2025 season, appropriate for Bo Nix.
I think you can hem and haw and argue about where guys fall in terms of the number ranking within the tiers that he has put together, but I do think the tiers are mostly accurate.
And he's in tier 3. Yeah.
And he's currently in tier 3 for the performance from the last year. And the guys he's grouped with in tier 3, and obviously there's plenty of debate to be had about this, especially with who falls in tier 2, based on their career versus based on last season, because I don't think anybody would ever evaluate NFL quarterbacks and say Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson are tier 2 quarterbacks, but for last season they were, and that's where they fall in this ranking. So Bo is number 18, but he's in the 3rd tier with Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers, which is a little questionable, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud, and is there anybody else in this? In that tier? That's who he is grouped with in that bunch, and I think that's for the most part accurate.
I think the tier 3 is fine. There was games this year where Bo struggled. I do. As far as how they ranked tier 3, Jordan Love I put above Bo. Jordan Love.
Bo was better when they played head to head.
He was, and so Jordan Love, I'm fine with that. I'd have Bo above Brock Purdy. I'd have Bo above Aaron Rodgers, and I'd have Bo above Baker Mayfield as well. I think tier 3 is appropriate, just because there was some inconsistency out of Bo, and we can talk about what happened and why that was. I had him ahead of Baker Mayfield. I got him ahead of Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers for sure, and Brock Purdy. Of those 3 guys, do you have them ahead of Bo?
I'll be honest, I didn't watch a ton of Tampa Bay football and Baker Mayfield the last year, and I would be going more off of career and impression on that. But, 2025, Baker Mayfield started all 17 games, almost 3,700 yards, 6.8 yards per attempt, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
He probably has a better year. His whole receiving core was depleted at one point. He fumbled the ball 11 times.
Yeah, fewer yards than Bo, more yards per attempt, fewer touchdown passes. Bo had 1 more interception. Rushing yards are almost identical. Bo ran for the 5 touchdowns. Baker fumbled 11 times, which is a huge X factor. There's 17 and 18. Like I said, you could switch the order of these guys around, I think, quite a bit. I don't think I would have Aaron Rodgers ahead of those guys.
I think, I wouldn't. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know why Aaron Rodgers is that high. With Bo, too, one thing that never gets taken into account, people like to put it online. They compared Bo Nix stats with Russell Wilson's stats, trying to be like, look, it's the same. Sacks taken is an enormous stat that never gets recorded with any of this stuff. That's something with Bo Nix that I think, and especially in the AFC Championship, we saw come to light. And I think that's something about Bo that I'm a big Bo lever, as they say, but I'm willing to be critical when I feel he's not performing up to his standards. But in the AFC Championship, I came to appreciate more how much he doesn't put his team in bad positions. And it does happen. There's an interception against the Bills, the interception against Washington, but he is very good at avoiding disaster when he's out on the field. And when you avoid disaster, even if that ends in a punt, when you avoid disaster, that's why you're able to stay in the game till the 4th quarter. I think he does that better than a lot of the guys in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's very much a top 5 quarterback in that regard. specifically. And as much time that has been spent hemming and hawing and consternating over Sean Payton's decision to go for it or to kick the field goal, the Broncos lost because Jarrett Stidham fumbled the ball away on the 13-yard line. And that's something that Bo Nix just absolutely does not do. Right? That was the reason why the Patriots got a touchdown in that game. Like, point blank, period. You can complain about the coach's call and his decision, and it was big, and a lot of people agree, maybe even up to the point that it was 90-10 obvious that he should have kicked it, and that's fine. And you can say that. But they lost because the backup quarterback made a mistake that the starting quarterback did not make all year and does not make. Period.
Yeah, they didn't have both. That's kind of what it came down to is, yes, I get they understood the position, but they were really screwed the second his ankle broke going into that AFC Championship game. And it's a point you and I made on the pregame. They talked up Stidham, and they should have. And Jarrett's skilled. He's just inexperienced. You know, if Tyrod Taylor is the backup quarterback there, that probably doesn't happen. I think Jarrett's maybe a more skilled guy. He just doesn't have the experience. Not only does Bo not fumble there, he probably doesn't even get sacked in that position. And so there was just, that's kind of what it did come down to with that. And Bo avoids disaster. Now going forward, to get him out of this tier 3 to tier 2, I don't know if he's ever a tier 1 guy, but to get him to this tier 2, let's say, that's where we talk about the accuracy on the deep balls. Your receivers catching the ball, less frantic stuff early on, setting the feet in certain situations. That interception against Kansas City you and I have talked about was, just kind of a real sloppy pass. He settled it down in that game. But for Bo, his ability to avoid disaster is why he's, say, a tier 3 quarterback, which is good company. But to get to tier 2, you got to start to kind of execute those things that the other guys do better than you.
Well, the tier 2 guys are numbers, 7 through 13 or 14?
Yeah.
Okay, and some of the guys that are included in tier 2 are guys that have had struggles and have overcome them and played very, very well this last season, including Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl, including Daniel Jones, who was off to an amazing start and played great until he got injured in this season, and Jared Goff, who has taken his team to a Super Bowl and a number 1 seed.
Yep.
And those are all guys who have had struggles in the past and have had issues and have battled with coaches or have had turnover problems or whatever the case may be, and they've been able to get some experience. They've been able to recover. They've been able to learn and grow in their position, and they've improved, and they're in that second tier now. Caleb Williams is a guy that probably went from the tier 3 or the tier 4 into the second tier in year number 2 by getting a more competent offensive head coach. So, there are other guys in there as well that dropped out of tier 1 because of what happened with injuries or their teams this season. But I think those 3 guys, when you talk about Darnold, Goff, and who was the other one I mentioned?
Caleb.
Not Caleb. Darnold, Goff, and Daniel Jones. Are the ones you can point to that maybe had similar experiences to Bo early on that they can learn from, grow from, and kind of continue to improve and move up when you look at the view of how you view their stance in the league.
Yeah, so and I think that's right. I think that's where he can kind of land, and those guys are all wildly successful. John, Denver media loved the Russ signing. Of course we did. We needed a quarterback. I wasn't denying that. But if you could say right now Russell Wilson's a good quarterback, I'd love to hear that argument. Speaking of struggling, the Nuggets and Avalanche, 2-3 each in their last 5 games. Did this break come at the right time? Do they need to get healthy, or should we worry going forward? We'll get into that next.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at DenverSports.com/superfan. That's DenverSports.com/superfan.
Between groceries, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up your cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees to find out how much you can save. Call 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Making an Impact, sponsored by Granger. We know about boxed wine, but what about paper wine? One California winery is going greener with paper wine bottles. Here's Shannon Baladeras from Monterey Wine Company.
It's better for the environment. It reduces the carbon footprint by 6 times that of glass.
For the ones who get it done, Granger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Don's Garage Door Service. Most repairs are simple, but if left untreated, they can turn into costly repairs. Your garage door works hard every day, and a little maintenance goes a long way. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Over 90,000 5-star reviews don't happen by accident. They happen by putting people first. Fixing your garage doors is what we do. From repairs to upgrades, call Don's Garage Door Service today.
Babe, your arms look amazing. Working out is paying off.
Thanks. I just wish my chest matched. No matter what I do, I'm frustrated with my man boobs.
Hey, don't beat yourself up. More than half of men have gynecomastia. It's gland tissue, not laziness. Same thing is happening to my friend Trisha's husband. He went to Dr. Cameron Dastry at Modern Surgical Arts of Denver.
For real? You get good results?
He got great results. Call him, honey.
Call today. They're offering complimentary consultations for the fan listeners. 303-470-3400 or at modernsurgicalarts.com.
I am down 60 pounds because of SodaWeightLoss.com. The weight came off a few years ago, and it came off naturally. And I got to tell you, having my own nutritionist, someone who is always available via text, made all the difference. It's real support from a real person. That's what keeps you consistent with SodaWeightLoss.com. Soda is the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and results. Clients look and feel 10 years younger, just like I do. I move easier, I sleep better, I got my confidence back, baby, and all thanks to SodaWeightLoss.com. And here's the best part. Join now and your partner joins for free. You start together, you support each other, and you both get younger, feeling healthier versions of yourselves. Call them up, 1-866-800-SODA. That's 1-866-800-SODA. Join Soda for a short time to have results that last a lifetime. Go to SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda Weight Loss is, say it with me, it's got to be state-of-the-art.
I'm Drew Carney, anchor with 9 News Mornings. I'm new to Colorado, but not new to the early wake-up call. I'm excited to share my 20-plus years of morning news experience with this community. giving you the info you need to tackle the day and start it with a smile. Across the Denver Metro, we've got you covered. Because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to Colorado's #1 streaming newscast. Make the move to 9 News Mornings. Live, starting at 4:30, anywhere you watch.
Looking for the best deal on TRT? Don't pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket for a franchise or settle for one of those one-size-fits-all from your doctor just because they take your insurance. At Synergetics and Low T Center, you can get powerful TRT dosed to your body and get it covered by insurance. Synergetics and Low T Center work with your insurance plans and customize each dose of TRT for maximum effectiveness and safety. It's TRT that actually works with your body. And this February, they're offering free testosterone tests and discounted peptides and GLP-1s to make getting your life back as easy as possible. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to Synergetics.com or LowTCenter.com to book an appointment online.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
I'm Rob Wilhite. If you've been in a car accident, you need experience that wins. For almost 50 years in Colorado, my firm has recovered over $1 billion for crash victims. Call 303-GOOD-LAW or visit WilhiteWins.com. That's WilhiteWins.com.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by Step Denver, a nonprofit solution to addiction and homelessness.
Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Chad, as good as the Broncos were this past season, #1 seed in the AFC, there was a strong argument that they were actually the third most likely championship contender in town, trailing the Avalanche and the Nuggets. Avalanche and Nuggets, kind of two different ways their seasons have gone. Both of them retooled the rosters, added more depth, not as top-heavy. Nuggets have battled injuries the whole year. The Avalanche looked like the greatest team in the history of all sports there for a few months, as they wouldn't when they lost, they forced you to play longer into shootouts just to beat. They didn't even lose in regulation for a long time.
Well, they have two going into 2026?
Yeah, they had like two. Recent injuries, the Nuggets, we talked about earlier, survived the Jokic injury pretty well, all things considered. Got some really good wins, swept the Milwaukee Bucks during that time, had a really nice nationally televised win against the Philadelphia 76ers. But since Jokic has come back, there's actually been a bit of a struggle there. Both teams 2-3 in their last 5. Injuries all over the place. The Avs were missing Taves for a while, missing Landeskog. Both of them are back to play in the Olympics. Are you worried about either team's prospects to get a championship now, based on what you've seen within the last few weeks?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely worried. The Nuggets, it's breaking my heart because I'm leaning more and more in the direction that I just don't believe they're ever going to be healthy. And I think first and foremost for me that starts with my second favorite Nugget player of all time in Aaron Gordon. I don't know if he's ever going to be fully healthy again to be able to complete a season and complete a playoff run, and they absolutely have to have him. So, yes, I'm extremely concerned, extremely worried there. I'm still concerned about Jokic and what he's looked like since he returned and how they're going to do this and have enough time and enough ramp up to play together to do it. The Avalanche, it's been a bit of a letdown because they were such a machine. They were such a wagon that it just looked like it was inevitable for them to run to the President's Trophy, have home ice, and then, at least be cruising through to the Western Conference Finals, something along those lines, and then take it from there with the way the puck bounces in the Stanley Cup Finals, all the time Stanley Cup Final. But yes, I'm definitely concerned. I'm definitely worried, and I think I would be pretty bummed if we had 3 legitimate chances for a championship run out of our teams this year and don't get any of them.
Yeah, I definitely would be. With the Avalanche, that is the point. They just look so unstoppable, and it actually as crazy as it was because they were just dominating, it actually did look sustainable because they were doing it different ways. They were winning close. They were coming from behind. They were outright dominating. They weren't a front-running team. They weren't a team that everything was dependent on, getting up. And this isn't like a fun fan trash talk. I mean it. They weren't the New England Patriots, to where it was just, we're hitting green lights, the opponents suck, It was like, no, whatever quality team comes out. The Avalanche played the Oilers and the Panthers and just blew them both. It was the game was over immediately both times. In the last month, even before the last 5, losing to the Predators 7-3, they just started. The shine kind of came off, but Landeskog was hurt, Taves was hurt. I think they're going to be fine, honestly.
If they're healthy.
If they're healthy.
I mean, that's kind of everything, right? I started the whole summer going into the Broncos season with their off-season additions with the caveat of if they're healthy, because of their additions of guys like Hufanga and Greenlaw and Dobbins. And I kept saying, if they're healthy. But now we're running into it with both the Avalanche and the Nuggets. And I am a little bit more optimistic, I think, on the Avalanche side that they can get everybody back and move forward than I am for the Nuggets. But, again, it does come down to if they're healthy.
Yeah, so if they're healthy, for one, the Avs, the guys that were injured are playing in the Olympics right now. So I think that's kind of why I'm like, I think they'll be fine. And, again, the Landeskog presence, I've never seen one. Like it's amazing. We thought it was Val. We were like, it's because they don't have Val. It turns out it might have been Landeskog that whole time. You do worry about the power play, and because in the playoffs that matters a little more. The Nuggets, to loop back to your point, yeah, the Aaron Gordon health thing is starting to. I'm just picking names, and I know the careers aren't identical, but I'm just picking out names. Greg Oden could not get healthy. We've seen it with guys that had all the talent in the world, but they just kept getting that. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but yes, we just need Aaron Gordon for the playoffs. Well, the playoffs in the NBA is like 35 games if you go to the NBA Finals. I do get worried with the Nuggets. I don't know what the decision-making is on when guys come back, whether it be into the game or back from injury. When Christian Brown tweaked his ankle, he went to locker room, he came back into that game. What was he doing out there? Aaron Gordon, the hamstring early on, he plays against the Rockets, he hurts it. They play him on a back-to-back, and I don't care if that's up to Aaron Gordon. It's one of those things. Sometimes you save somebody for themselves. You go, that's great, you want to play. Guess what? You're not. The decision-making with the Nuggets has become a bit of a concern with me on how they actually manage these guys when they're injured.
Well, I think the Aaron Gordon part of it in his last return before injury was because Jokic was out. And they had been stretched so thin for so long. And then after Jokic was out, Val was out. And it was just like, we got to have some sort of relief from our bigs. Mm-hmm. We have to have whatever is available to us. But then, again, you go and you play them on a back-to-back, and you have to wonder about that in that process. It's just been so rough because it has just been constant one after another, after another, after another, after another. And they just can't get their head above water long enough to go, we can breathe for a second and we can function with missing one or two guys instead of 4 guys or 5 guys. And they haven't been able to do that for the bulk of the season. It's painful. Literally and figuratively, it's painful.
Well, and Payton Watson was playing great, and he goes out. So the question is, I think now, it's if healthy, and that is the Broncos know that pertains to everything. So let's say they are healthy. The Denver Nuggets can go to the NBA Finals.
I will say it again, and I'll die on this hill. I've been there from the start. If they're healthy, which is what I've said since the offseason, they're going to win the NBA championship.
I think so as well. And I think the Avalanche will win the cup. In Denver, we need that health because it's not just this year. It's Jamal's injury. It's Aaron Gordon last year. It's now Bo Nix. It's what the Avs have run into. We have been robbed, it feels like, of championships around here. If the Nuggets can get healthy and the Avalanche, I think they can do it. To put a bow on it, this recent struggles doesn't bother me as much as the health bothers me with the teams. I think if they're both healthy, they're fine.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to a point. Maybe with the Avalanche we will. I don't feel like I'm going to get to the point where the Nuggets, where I take that deep breath, I sigh, and I go, okay.
I won't.
Now we're here. We're all good. Everybody is at full strength, full speed. We're ready to go and ready to move forward. I don't see that level of comfortability coming before the playoffs.
Oh, I won't. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. Once they get healthy, I'm going to be the most nervous person on the entire planet. And then, like the other week, Jamal hurts his hip, and it's like, and it affected his play too down the stretch. So the break, hopefully at the right time, specifically for the Nuggets, because their guys are resting up. Because they're both championship caliber rosters. They're not top heavy. They're very good across the board, especially with the Nuggets with the development of Payton Watson. The Broncos, AFC Championship, #1 seed. But I think everybody agrees they can't run it back. They need help at positions across the roster. How do Chad and I want those position groups to look like going into next year? We'll get into that next.
Has the rubber officially met the road for Coach Prime and the Buffs?
They have to win 8 games this year. They have to be competitive. You had the Heisman, you had your son, you revamped the team, you revamped the coaching staff. Now it's time to go to work. Now it's time to win games. There is no more excuses. Enough's enough.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
This week's Recovery of the Week is brought to you by Step Denver, the men's residential addiction recovery program in Lower Downtown. Our Recovery of the Week this week belongs to Colorado Avalanche captain Gabe Landeskog, who back on January 4th smashed into the net and hurt his upper body. He had been out of the lineup for more than a month, but last week returned to the ice in live action, playing for Sweden in the Olympics, and actually scored a goal and is healthy, ready to go for the second half of the season.
And that is your Recovery of the Week, brought to you by Step Denver. And I'm sitting down with Joe from Step Denver. Joe, thank you for meeting with us and talking to us today. If you don't mind, tell us what led you to Step Denver and what's been your experience at Step Denver.
So I went through a terrible divorce, financially was broken, was severe alcoholic. So the point that led me to here was being homeless, and I was actually at Chatfield Reservoir, ended up getting a ticket, and then I was realizing summer's going to end, and so I was like, I got to change some things. So I just wanted to fix my life, and I ended up here, and it's been a good opportunity. They give you all the tools to help you out, get on your feet. It's a good brotherhood. Everybody's really helping, willing to they have your back, and it's definitely not easy, and you got to be ready to change your life. But it is a great program, and it's a great place, and I enjoy it a lot. So.
And it's changing your life, it's safe to say?
I'm definitely making progress significantly.
What would you tell someone else who is thinking about walking through the doors of Step Denver?
I would tell them that it is a really good place, and it gets tougher sometimes, but definitely stick it through because each day gets better. It's proven in my own life, and I see a lot of other people around me. It's improving people's lives, and I'm seeing it physically.
Thank you so much for meeting with us, Joe, and being vulnerable. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure.
If you are struggling with addiction or want to make a donation to help the men who are calling Step to get their life back today, please visit stepdenver.org.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Dunright. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Brenda Stokely from my friends at Roller Auction, leader in Colorado auctions for over 40 years. They conduct over 150 auctions every year, selling tens of thousands of items at the price you set. Auctions are held regularly for Colorado government agencies, and they always have big-ticket items at great prices. That's why I love Roller Auction. And almost all bidding is conducted online in real time, and it's open to the public. Anyone can participate. Check back regularly. New auctions are added weekly. Be the first to know about new auctions available for bidding when you sign up for email notifications. Go to rollerauction.com/thefan.
Tune in Tuesday afternoons for Injury Insights with Zach Bai and Dr. Joseph Ramos to hear the latest injury news on your local teams and around the world of sports. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Let me ask you something. Is your money doing everything it can for you?
I don't know. How would I know?
Is it automatically saving for special events and keeping you posted on its progress? Like at Huntington Bank?
Oh, no.
Is it tracking your spending so you can make the best choices at the mall?
Nope.
Or setting limits on your teenager's debit card?
Definitely not.
Then it could certainly be doing more.
Yeah, sure sounds like it.
Let's get more from money. Switch to Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require enrollment.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low testosterone, and treating low T is what we do. But this year, we're also helping men go further with 4 targeted body composition plans featuring growth hormone peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more, designed to boost energy, support metabolism, enhance recovery, and accelerate fat loss. With our low T treatments combined with our body composition programs, most men notice real improvements: more energy, better focus, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and often a renewed sex drive as well. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
AutoNation's New Year, New Wheels event is going on now. Drive any new or used vehicles 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Save thousands on your favorite cars, trucks, and SUVs. Plus, we'll buy your car for top dollar today. Don't miss 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry to your nearest AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. On select models with approved credit, interest accrues from date of purchase. See store for details, subject to in-store verification.
Shop Denver Mattress Fantastic 4-Day Sale. The Colorado Queen now $199. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. Plus 60 months no interest, no down payment, and free shipping at Denver Mattress.
Follow us on X at DEN Sports 1043 for up-to-the-minute information and opinions on all things Denver sports. Also, we can still call it Twitter, right? Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Denver Broncos, number 1 seed, 14-3. Nobody predicted that. Cecil and Will tell you they did, but they did not. They predicted 13 win seasons, therefore they were wrong with those predictions. But the Broncos won close. A lot of people still don't believe in the Denver Broncos. Even those that believe in the Denver Broncos agree the Broncos do need to upgrade this year. So we've identified 4 positions: the running back, the wide receiver, the tight end, and the interior middle linebacker. So I think I'm going to throw it to you guys right now. I give you those 4 position groups. We'll go through them, though, but I want to know which one do you rank as the biggest need out of those position groups: running back, wide receiver, tight end, middle linebacker.
I think this is one that after the fact you can definitely revise and say, well, depending on what they were able to do and who was available to them, you can reprioritize. But before, not knowing what their options are and where they could go, I think I'm going to have to default to wide receiver. Is where I think I'm going to have to default to.
Okay.
Because I think it is, out of the 4 positions, I think they have a legit number 1 starter in-house at 3 of them, and I don't know that they do at wide receiver. And I think for a long-term future there, and for the long-term future paired with your quarterback and your new offensive coordinator who's 30 years old, that wide receiver would probably have the biggest long-term impact.
Okay, so right now, say that again about the number 1 in-house.
So
at the other positions?
At the other positions, if you can, and this is accounting for J.K. Dobbins, still being a Denver Bronco.
Okay.
It's accounting for Dre Greenlaw, still being a Denver Bronco.
Got it.
And it's accounting for Evan Ingram, still being a Denver
They
Bronco.
all have a clear cut.
They still have established starting caliber players who could be number 1 in a position group at their position, and I don't think they have that at the wide receiver spot.
Where did you have wide receiver ranked, Dante?
I had it below running back and tight end.
You had it 3rd.
I did. I think it tied for 3rd with inside linebacker.
Why would you have? Why do you have wide receiver 3rd? You're a little more confident in this room.
I just think that we saw how successful they were this year with the wide receiver room that it is. I think there's an expanded role you can get out of Marvin Mims, and I think Pat Bryant's only going to be better in year 2 than he was in year 1. We saw the leap that Troy Franklin took from year 1 to year 2, so I think Pat Bryant's going to be very similar in that way. I just believe in what they already have in there more than I believe in what they have in those other rooms.
I like the Marvin Mims thing. Chad knows I'm a big believer in Marvin Mims. I felt he's terribly misused, and the frustrating part about it is I felt they were forced to use him correctly because of injury to Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin. It felt like had those guys been around, Marvin Mims, they still would have tried to make a gadget guy out there, and so that's frustrating. Maybe now that they've seen what he can do. I like wide receiver at 1 is interesting. Here's why I could see your point. They've kind of got a room. It's young guys. They're still ascending players. Where I could see it at number 1 is that there's not a game breaker that we've seen. We haven't seen as much as everybody, and it's a guy we'll talk about later. I'm just going to pick him out. George Pickens can take over a game.
Defensive coordinators have to plan for him.
Exactly. And I love Cortland Sutton. I love Cortland Sutton. Did he take over a game last year? And that would be my big question there. So I could see it at 1. I kind of see where you're coming from, but Dante, when you look at the receiver room, do you see a game breaker? Do you see a potential game breaker?
I don't see any game breakers necessarily, but I just see a solid depth throughout the entirety of the room. And I think if Bo Nix is supposed to be this franchise quarterback, he's supposed to elevate these guys. If you want him to be a top 10 quarterback, a top 5 quarterback, a lot of those guys don't have massive weapons on the offensive side. We've seen Josh Allen win an MVP, and you can hardly name anybody on his wide receiving core. We've seen Patrick Mahomes go to multiple Super Bowls even after Tyreek Hill left, and a very unrecognizable wide receiver room. So I just don't think wide receiver is at the top of the Broncos' needs. I think if Bo Nix is the guy we think he is, then he doesn't need one of those game breakers that you're talking about. It'd be nice to have a game breaker, but I just don't think it's as necessary as some of the other positions that are truly lacking.
It's interesting. We're going to come back to some players. So you had running back.
I had running back
1.
at number 1. And my list, I guess, a little different than Chad's because I had this as J.K. Dobbins is not a part of the room at the moment because he's not on contract for next year. And to me,
does that matter given his injury history?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It matters to me. And we saw how successful this team was during the first half of the year. When J.K. Dobbins was healthy and how that changed in the back half of the year. And how the defense looked a lot worse in the back half of the year. And that's because you didn't have an established running game, a guy that can go up there and chew clock and give your defense some rest. So I think J.K. Dobbins was a big part of this team's success. And we saw how one-dimensional they were in the second half of the year and how they had to rely on Bo Nix, maybe to a fault in that second half of the year. And Bo Nix stepped up to the challenge. He had a great second half of the year. I don't want to make it sound like Bo wasn't great, but ideally you wouldn't have to put him in that situation in year 2 in the NFL.
That is, he got better in the second half of the year when he didn't have the run game. I think Bo was a better quarterback, so I think that's a good point that Bo stepped up, but it might. Where did you have running back again?
Based on what I want the room to look like, I will put running back 2nd on the list because of where I'm the moves that I'm going to recommend and what I'm advocating for, where resources are allocated. So yeah, it would definitely be 2nd.
So yeah, everybody's got. I would have running back 1 or 2. I mean, I think it's up there, and I think that's a good point. Is to the room. So the last 2 we have is tight end and linebacker. Dante, where did you have tight end?
I had tight end number 2.
Tight end number 2. Why do you have tight end number 2?
I just think that Evan Ingram was not very successful this year, and you really need to remake that room this year. Bring in somebody in the draft. Maybe use your first-round pick. Maybe trade up in the first round to go get someone in the draft, or go out and spend some money on a free agent. There's not a lot of depth at the free agent free agent tight ends this year, so I think going through the draft might be a better way of doing it. But I just didn't like what I saw out of the tight end room this year, and I think we talk about the wide receiving core and how they could use some game breakers. If you go out and get a tight end, that could be your game breaker that you're looking for on offense.
Chad, with tight end, you got it 3 or 4?
I've got it 4.
You got
it
the 4
we're talking about.
Do you think the issue this year was the tight ends themselves or the usage and the quarterback's usage of the tight ends?
I think it's a combination. I think it's the offense's usage of the tight end, the quarterback's usage of the tight end, and then the tight ends themselves' capabilities. Adam Troutman in the penalties and drops. Atkins had drops. Lucas Kroll, after 2 years ago, everybody getting excited about what he could do. He was, completely absent. He's a non-factor. No reason to be on the roster going forward. And we heard all last offseason Evan Ingram is going to be the Joker, and then we saw no Joker. And we got to put an end to using that term. So, it was made a priority a year ago in the offseason to address the position, and then it was not a part of the offense. So to me, it tells me they identified someone that they thought could have an impact, but then they still didn't use them. So that's why I put it fourth out of the 4 positions we're talking about.
I have it fourth. I lean on the usage of the tight end. The concerted effort to get the ball to Evan Ingram, I don't know if it was there, maybe it was. All I know is that when Evan Ingram, I'm interested to know if you guys saw this, when he gets the ball, he turns upfield better than anybody on the offense. His ability to catch it and immediately run straight down the field is better than absolutely everybody, and it's not close. Maybe Dobbins would be the other guy. Sutton dances a little bit when he gets the ball. Marvin Mims, they wouldn't use him, right? So he was kind of forced into dancing because of how they used him. Mims could kind of get away there, and he's a little bit better. That's probably because of the punt. So I have tight end last because I do think Ingram can still be the one. To your point, the Troutman is where I think you actually need the improvement. It's not this big name guy. And you had tight end at 2. So,
I did. So you think they just need help around the edges in the room? Just the backup tight end?
Yeah,
That's what they were lacking?
Yeah, because Ingram, you saw it against Philadelphia. You saw it against Washington. He can game break. I mean, he can game break better than anybody on the team. But I don't know how concerted of an effort it was. It's third down. We're going to Ingram. Good luck, Bobby Wagner. Good luck, whoever's playing middle linebacker. I think there was a usage. I look back at the Texans game. Ingram was open. I mean, he was open in that game, and Bo just didn't get him the ball. Last one, middle linebacker. Chad, where do you have middle linebacker?
Linebacker's third for me.
That's
so
third.
it's receiver, running back, linebacker, tight end.
I got linebacker at third also.
I'm
tied for third.
Tied for third, and so I'm gonna move it maybe slightly ahead of wide receiver. So I'll have it at third as well.
Okay, are we placing linebacker here simply because we got one guy under contract of the 3 starters?
Yeah, I don't think you can assume Singleton or Sternad. I don't think you definitely can't assume both are back. I think you can, maybe make a choice and try to bring one. But I don't, I think you're going, hey, we got Dre Greenlaw, and what are we going to do after that? And a lot of people are even questioning the value of him after how he played last year. So.
Dante, do you have it there just simply because of the contract situation or actual improvement?
I think both. I think the contract situation, but I don't think those 3 this year were game breakers. I don't think other teams on defenses were scared of those 3 guys. If anything, I think it's the weakness of this defense, even when you had all 3 of those guys under contract. So I think there's definitely room for improvement there.
Okay, and with that, Dante, it's 5 o'clock. What do they do right here? What's Zach say? I forgot
it's KKFN.
I got to hit the legal ID.
Yeah.
You are listening to KKFN HD1, Longmont, Denver. It's got so caught up in being excitement, forgot to hit that. KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. It's John Davis.
John.
What's that?
Said you were about to get a suit.
I was gonna get everybody. They're gonna throw Dante. I was blaming you, so you were gonna go to jail for that. But no, it's John Davis, Chad Andrews sitting in for Zach and Phil today on the drive. We just went through, talked about the 4 positions, how we rank them in need with wide receiver, running back, tight end, and middle linebacker. Before we get into how we want the Broncos to address these positions, Chad, just give me your rankings one more time.
Receiver, running back, linebacker, tight end.
Dante?
I had running back, tight end, linebacker, wide receiver.
Okay, and I've got running back, wide receiver, linebacker, tight end. So we're different. And I think that kind of shows how the Broncos need to improve this team. There's a few different ways they can attack it and how people view the biggest needs. So right there, we're going to go through how do we want to improve these rooms. Let's just start at the linebacker. That's where we were, because kind of what's going on with that is a little bit more clear. Chad, I'll start with you. Do you keep Greenlaw? Do you re-sign either Singleton or Sternad? And if so, which one? I want to say this. I don't think they're keeping all 3.
No, I don't think so either. And I agree with Dante's point. I believe it's the weak spot of the defense. That said, the defense was still the strength of the team, and I don't think you're going to be, completely dominant across the board unless you're really going to build your team like Seattle or what Philadelphia had done winning the Super Bowl, and maybe you are.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't want to build their team like the last 2 Super Bowl winners?
Right. Yeah, right. Well, apparently most owners, because they keep hiring all offensive head coaches. If we look at the linebacker room, I'm going to give Dre Greenlaw the benefit of the doubt because of how excited I was last offseason and his experience, what he can bring to that room, and really just where they are with the other contract situations of Strnad and Alex Singleton. I think you can bring one of those guys back, and I was really impressed with the way Justin Strnad played this year. That's the guy I would go with. I would keep him. I would let Alex Singleton move on. After that, I think you do have to lean somewhat heavily on guys that haven't played and are unproven in the linebacker room, and you got to see if Drew Sanders can come back from injury yet again. You got to see what Kareem Reed can do. You got to see what Lavelle Bailey could do. But one of their big off-season moves, I'm devoting most of their free agent resources at this position, even though I ranked it 3rd in the priority list. If you ask me who the other inside linebacker I want in the room is, it's Nakobe Dean. And that would be my linebacker room.
Philadelphia.
It would be Dre Greenlaw, Justin Strnad, Drew Sanders, Kareem Reed, Lavelle Bailey, and Nakobe Dean. That would be my linebacker room wish list for the Broncos.
And the starters are?
Greenlaw and Dean.
Okay, Greenlaw and Dean. So Sternad's your contingency plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
He play a very similar role to what he has played.
Okay. So do you think they can get Dean and Sternad? Nakobe Dean from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't think Justin Strnad's going to cost a bunch of money. I don't think it's going to be a huge payday.
You don't think anybody signs him to start?
I think that's what he's going to ask for.
Sure. Yeah.
Nakobe Dean's going to cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
He's going to cost $15.5 million a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that would be the big splash. That would be if the Broncos.
That is where I think most of their available cap money in free agency should be dedicated based on what is available to them.
I think they will. I think they could do it if they want, because Philadelphia last year gave everybody a bunch of money. Zach Bond, they re-signed everybody, and so they don't.
He's leaving Philadelphia. It's just a matter of where he goes.
They don't have the money. Middle linebacker Dante. How do you address middle linebacker?
I think you run it back with Dre Greenlaw at least. You hope and cross your fingers that he's not going to be as injured as he was this last year, because when he was out there, he was pretty good, and he's a run stopper. And I like Chad's idea of going with Nakobe Dean, add to the room. I think Alex Singleton is a fine player at linebacker, but I think if you're trying to expand on the room, I don't think you bring him back. And I think you can bring back Strnad as maybe a depth piece, kind of what Chad was getting at there too. I don't think you want him to be your plan, but if you have a couple other guys that are more talented than him and you kind of throw him out there in the mix, I think that's a pretty solid room there. But I think Singleton's the one area that you could really improve in that room.
Did Justin Strnad not earn the right to get a look as the starter for the Broncos?
I think he could start, but I just don't think that's a elite level defense if he's your starting linebacker. Chad, I got a question for you. What are your thoughts on maybe like a Matt Milano? I know he's been injured a lot, and he's a little on the older side, already 30 here. Do you think he could step in and give you a year or two of really good linebacker play?
Yeah, I think he could. I just don't think the way George Payton or Sean Payton would look at this is going, all right, we've already got Dre Greenlaw in his situation in age off of injury, and now we're going to go get a guy who's more on the backside of the career. I think if they're going to make an investment and they're going to devote serious cap money at the position, it's got to be to a guy that has a long-term future here, and it's more of a 4 or 5 year solution for that position, saying we've waited too long to really find a legit answer here that is a long-term solution. So if we're going to spend it, we're going to spend it on that, not another patchwork guy who is more on the backside of the career.
That's fascinating. The Nakobe Dean thing would be fascinating. I don't think they're going to do it.
Well, no, I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah,
this is just my wish list.
That's the wish list. I don't know if they'll do it. I think we're going to get some sort of run it back combination of what they had, whether it be Greenlaw. I think they keep Greenlaw. I would keep Greenlaw, and I think it's either Singleton or Strnad based on who they like, and then those young guys. A lot of what the Broncos do is predicated on the young guys stepping up. They like that. Kareem Reed, I think he's a guy they really like. So I think for my wish list, I don't go Nakobe Dean because I don't want to put all the money back into the defense. this offseason like they did last year, but I do maybe go outside the organization to bring somebody in. Who that is, Milano, like he said, he's injured. I don't know if you do like Kenneth Murray, anybody like that, but I expect them to do it. My wish list, if you can keep Sternad as a backup and special teams, I think that'd be fantastic. And then bring in somebody to play alongside Greenlaw.
I think the other thing to note here, and why something like Nakobe Dean is unlikely as much as I would like to see it is a very defense-heavy draft. And they've got 9 picks in the draft. So if they're trying to shore up linebacker room and can rely on guys that have been here before and then maybe backfill it again, there are more options on the defensive side of the football than there are on the offensive side of the football in the draft if you want to solve it that way and save your free agency money for something else.
Yeah. Okay, so we all think Greenlaw's back, though.
We do. Or at least, I'm on board with that with you guys. Real quick before we move on from linebacker, what about a guy like Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech? You probably pick him up in the second round. Would that be a pick that you would be a fan of if that happened on night 2?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah, if it's a second, third round type of pick, yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, if you can find a guy, and that's what I want for the draft, not to go too far down. I don't want the draft to be, we got to get this position. I want them to take guys that are just talented that they can get. That's a great middle linebacker. That's a great one. So let's move on. Tight end. Broncos tight end. So I'm on you leave Evan Ingram as the top guy in the room. There's some names that are going to be out there, some bigger names. I think, is Isaiah Likely out there? Yep. Isaiah Likely's out there. Kyle Pitts could be available via trade. Hawkinson could be a guy that becomes available. So you're going to have to trade. You pointed out, Dante, tight ends, they don't make it to free agency if they're great, so you might have to get creative. But, Chad, how do you like your tight end room to look for the Broncos?
I don't want to spend a ton of resources on tight end here unless you're talking about the first-round pick with Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon falling to them. And that would be my preference, but I don't want to rely on just that. So I think you keep Ingram. I think you keep Atkins, and those are the only 2 that stay. Sadiq is who I would target if you can get him at 30 in the first round without having to move up or only a spot or 2 on that. But then I would also focus on, remember, Broncos don't just have $26 million in available cap space. They have 9 picks. 9 draft picks are not making a 14-3 football team. So use them as ammunition to trade and move to where you need to get to or acquire assets for guys that have worn out their welcome somewhere else. So I'm looking at Kenyon Sadiq at number 30 or somewhere in that general area and an additional trade with the Raiders for Michael Mayer.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's a guy you can put on the field and they're not going to know you're throwing to him because he can block. He does a little bit of both, and you're not going to know if you're running or throwing or what he's doing if you put him out there. And then you're utilizing Ingram, and you're also safeguarding against his injury history.
That's a good one.
And then you've got 3 legit guys.
Yep. What do you have? And let me give you a couple. Dallas Goedert and Njoku's out there. Isaiah Likely, Kyle Pitts. Those are free agents. So there is a good crop of guys this year.
I'm with Chad. Go out and get Kenyon Sadiq, whether you have to trade up to 22, 23, 24, whatever it is, or get him at 30 if he falls that far. I think he would be a great addition to the room. I think Nate Atkins at least is a blocking tight end, so there's no downside of keeping him on there as a third tight end in the room. Evan Ingram, whether you decide to keep him or not, if you don't keep him, I wouldn't mind going out and getting a guy like Dallas Goedert to replace that Evan Ingram role. Maybe just a little bit more of a veteran presence until Sadiq really comes along into his own. Michael Mayer would interest me a lot too. I don't think the Raiders are in position to get rid of good football players, and I think Michael Mayer is a good football player, so I'd be surprised if they move on from him. And as far as the draft picks go, you were talking about you don't want to see them target maybe a specific position. I actually feel the opposite on that. I would say go out and get your specific guys. This roster's too deep and too good to just draft best player available. That's what they did last year. Went out and got Jahdae Barron. He couldn't even find the field because they were so deep at that position. And what's the point of wasting a first-round draft pick if he's not going to get out there? So go out and get a guy at a position that you know is going to be out on the field.
Trevor Price didn't play his rookie year, and he's one of the all-time great Denver Broncos. Sometimes depth dictates. I do see your point. With the tight end, I'm with you guys on Kenyon Sadiq. Here's the thing. Tight ends need time. You just pointed it out. That's a position you got to learn the blocking and the route tree. And there's a lot of pressure on a tight end to come in and just be great right away when they actually have a lot on their plate. That's why I keep Ingram with him. And if you do want to target a position in the draft, you don't have to get Sadiq. If he's off the board or you can't trade up to get him, there's going to be guys in the later round. Some of the best tight ends in the NFL were not first-round draft picks. So target him, but I think we all keep Evan Ingram. Are we all right there?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily.
You would do Goddard. You would do a Goddard.
Yeah, we could do a Goddard. I think you need to have a veteran in there that has gone out and done it, but not necessarily Evan Ingram. If they want to cut ties with him and get out of some of the dead money with him, I would be okay with that move.
That's right, Mike. You need a solidified veteran, though.
Yes.
Kenyon Sadiq, I don't think can be your number one option at tight end this year. They take too long to develop at tight end. Okay, running back. Let's do running back right now. Chad, we'll start here. J.K. Dobbins. Or do you want to do Dante?
Start with Dante. It's his number one
priority.
It's
Dante's number one, so let's go.
I like Breece Hall, and I like Travis Etienne. I think either of those guys bringing him in. I just don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to be a reliable running back at this point. I liked what he brought to the room and to the organization. He seemed like a great locker room guy, but the Broncos aren't into signing players for being good locker room guys at this point. You want a guy that's going to come in there and make a big difference. And I think Etienne or Breece Hall can be that lead running back for this room, and then you get to supplement R.J. Harvey in as running back too. Kind of use Harvey the way I think he should be used, as an overall weapon. You can line him out wide when you need to. You can use him as a third down back. He's great at catching the ball out of the backfield, and he's shown he can run the ball as well, but I don't think you want him being the 1A running back on this team. I just don't think he's a solidified runner like that. And Terrell Davis said it just a couple weeks ago out of the Super Bowl. Load this room with as much competition as possible and see who rises to the top. I think you can do that by adding either an Etienne or Hall. You throw Harvey in there, and then you can even go out and get a third running back.
J.K. Dobbins.
Maybe you have J.K. Dobbins be the third running back. I don't think Dobbins would love being that role, so maybe you might have to go a little bit cheaper there. But I think, or maybe you draft a guy in third, fourth round that has something to prove. So I think there's a lot of ways you can go in there, but I would completely overhaul the room outside of R.J. Harvey.
J.K. Dobbins may not have a choice. I mean, he was on the street till June last year. So, Chad, your running back room.
Very similar to Dante's. I do bring J.K. Dobbins back along with R.J. Harvey and probably Tyler Bidet, just because he's the guy that pass protects and does everything right, is always in the right position.
Sean loves him.
Yeah.
So
but my choice, as much as I love Kenneth Walker, there's just no way he's a Super Bowl MVP. Like, they're either not going to let him walk or it's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money. I like Breece Hall as a player. My pick is Travis Etienne. He's had 3,000-yard seasons in 4 years. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. If the Jags are trying to keep him, they're probably going to end up franchise tagging him, which is going to cost him like $14 million, whereas in free agency, the Broncos can probably get him for 2 years for $14 or $15 million. And you not only get a guy who is your number one or can clearly split with a healthy Dobbins and do a little bit of everything, but you also take him away from an AFC contender.
Yeah, with Jacksonville, where he's there. So Etienne's good. So I think, and I think we all agree on the structure here, that they have to bring in a number one. You want a second guy for competition. You agree that could be J.K. Dobbins. You're not planting your flag on it.
I think it could. I don't love him going from running back 1 to running back 3 in back-to-back years. I think that can cause some tension within the Broncos organization in the running back room, and just him not being happy with his role. He still wants to go out and get as much money as he can, and I think he probably can do that going to a different team that's maybe not as good as the Broncos. I think maybe him on a 20th best team in the NFL being the lead back would make more sense for himself and the kind of money he's looking for than bringing him in to be the running back 3 and have a very limited role here in Denver.
I don't think he's going to get a lot of money. He didn't get money last year, so I think Dobbins will be back. So I want Dobbins in the room with R.J. Harvey. Etienne, you got Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall's really good. I don't want to pay what Breece Hall's going to make. I think it's got nothing to do with the player. I think somebody, Kansas City, is going to probably pay him a lot of money. I just don't want to pay that. I think Etienne comes in a little cheaper than Breece Hall. This is the most boring the most boring running back room. I like the Tyler Algier in Atlanta. I like him. I think he's a little more fresh. I don't think he's going to cost as much. You can pair him with J.K. Dobbins and have R.J. Harvey, and you can get kind of a good structured running back room, a little more reliability, a little more versatility with everybody. I like him. I know he's not as proven though, is Breece Hall and ETN. So it's a little riskier. And I guess to argue against myself or to you guys, when I say Tyler Algier, is that too risky, too unproven for what the Broncos need?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how run tolerant they're going to be, John.
Yeah, Sean Payton's term, not yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to tolerate running the football, or is Davis Webb going to call the plays and actually run the football? It's all a moot point if he doesn't want to run the ball. We can talk about having the room all we want and spending money on guys. The same thing at tight end. You can spend all you want or bring in who all you want, but if you're not committed to running the football and doing it when you have to do it, to win a game in the snow, to go to the Super Bowl. If you're not going to do that, it doesn't matter who you bring in. If you're not going to throw the ball to the tight end, whether it's by design or by quarterback decision, it doesn't matter who you bring in. So how tolerant are you going to be to run the ball?
Don't you think they committed to the run pretty heavily in the first half of last year when J.K. Dobbins was healthy, though? He was a top 3 rusher in terms of yards. I thought they gave him an appropriate amount of touches.
What I would say
I think
is
once he went down is when you had the issues. And, hey, if I'm Sean Payton, I wouldn't trust the rest of that running back room either once Dobbins went out.
Here's what I would say is Sean Payton doesn't like to run the ball. So which guy gives you the most out of the limited opportunities? And I think that's a question. It's Breece Hall or ETN. It's probably one of those, because you're not getting Kenneth Walker. You can't go to your fans and go, the Super Bowl MVP. We're not signing him. That doesn't work like that. And I also think it would be an overpay.
It would definitely be an overpay. It doesn't make sense for the Broncos or the Seahawks in that regard.
It would be an overpay. Okay, so last one. Right. So we all agree on the structure there.
Nobody said Rico Dowdell.
Right? I wouldn't mind it, though. I wouldn't mind it. I like Algier more. Rico Dowdell with J.K. Dobbins and Harvey, I'd be totally on board with that.
I would be okay with that room as well. I just think you need 2 solidified running backs outside of R.J. Harvey. I think R.J. Harvey, you want him to be your utility guy. You don't want to rely on him to be getting the bulk of the snaps here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, wide receiver. Chad, that was your number 1. How does this wide receiver room look? I think this is going to be the most interesting of the positions.
I think they have to do something, but I don't think there's a lot of things they can do based on what they have on the roster and how they feel about those players. I'm with you, John. I've supported all of your advocacy of Marvin Mims. It is very difficult for me to accept and understand why Marvin Mims isn't every bit as effective as Zay Flowers is.
Right.
With his size and his speed. And he's just not used that way. Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton. I'm still in on Troy Franklin because of the speed he provides and the growth he showed early in the season. I love Pat Bryant. I think he has a long-term future here. I think the 5th wide receiver has to come in the drafts. And I think this probably comes down to an either-or proposition when we were talking about like a Kenyon Sadiq in the first round at 30 at tight end. I think it's either that or receiver. And what I would prefer to do, even more so than Sadiq at tight end, is, Dante, you're going to love this one. With the 9 draft picks, they should go up and get Jordan Tyson, is what they should do. If they can't do that, then they should get Denzel Boston from Washington. But one of those 2 guys, as a rookie with the potential to be a legit all-pro level type wide receiver in the future, is what they are missing going forward in the long term to pair with Bo Nix, because they got a bunch of 2s. The way they play them, they need to get a guy that has the potential to be a legit 1-star, and it's one of those 2 dudes.
I think Jordan Tyson would be a great fit here. I don't think that the Broncos have the ammunition to get up there.
They got 9 picks.
Where's he going?
Top 10?
Yeah.
He's probably going anywhere from 6 to 10 is where a lot of mock drafts have him. And I think that would entail giving up your first rounder next year, maybe a second or 2 seconds going forward. I just don't think they have enough ammunition unless you're talking about giving up another first-round draft pick.
And we're going to keep this one going. But what I want to ask you right there, Dante, because I understand where you're coming from. The one thing about this Broncos receiver room that they've kind of, I don't want to say screwed themselves, with Mims, Franklin, and Bryant, it's too young to just give up on one of them. That's why last year at the trade deadline, I was like, don't go trade a first-round pick for Waddle. When you do that, you're admitting you're giving up on one of these 3 young guys. They've gone too draft heavy. So with that, when you hear that, Dante, are you staying away from drafting a guy at all with the wide receiver position? Because it's like I see where you're coming from. I think it should be a veteran, but I also see you can't really replace one of these guys. So a younger guy helps you replace one of them down the line once you figure out if Franklin, Mims, or Bryant's not your guy.
I think it's a replacement for Sutton, is what I think.
Well, that's what it would have to be. Is ultimately it would have to be the light at the end of the. I don't want to say it like that you're moving on from Cortland Sutton.
I think if you're drafting wide receiver, go up and do it the way Chad is talking about doing the top 10 picks. I'm tired of seeing Troy Franklin go in the second, third round. I'm tired of seeing Pat Bryant go in the second, third round, where it's like, hey, these guys are all kind of going to be the same, have very similar impacts on this team. If you're going to do it, go out and get a number one that's going to be a number one wide receiver in the NFL for a long time here, like a Jordan Tyson, like a Carnell Tate. I wouldn't love to see another third round pick used on a wide receiver. Either use your resources for it or don't, but don't kind of stay on the fence the way they have the last couple of years.
Yeah, don't get guys that are good enough. Get guys that can be great.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
like they did with middle linebacker all those years before they got Dre Greenlaw. This is okay. So how do we want the Broncos wide receiver room to look? Chad's saying you go up, you draft Jordan Tyson, maybe you draft somebody else in the first round. You've got 9 picks. Dante, what do you and I think about this wide receiver room? How do we think it's going to look? We keep that going, and we'll do all of that next.
If the goal is to win a Super Bowl,
Hey, let's go, bring it out!
do the Broncos need a new top target in the wide receiver room?
What he brings to the table, I do believe that he can be your main wide receiver on a championship team. All he does is work. He's a great leader for that football team. I like to see more, but I really do like Cortland, and he could be the main guy on a championship team, no doubt about it.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero taxes and zero penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset that's held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just text the word SECURE, SECURE, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts. You can't predict the future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. So take that first step right now. Text SECURE to the number 989898 today. That's SECURE to 989898.
What's up, guys? You need healthy options you'll actually crave? HelloFresh brings the flavor with homemade meals that are wholesome, fresh, and always hit the spot. Turn fresh, balanced ingredients into home-cooked meals that are easy to make and taste great. Keep your health on track with GLP-1 friendly options and high-protein meals packed with over 30 grams of protein. My lady is always telling me how I need more protein in my life. From udon soup to hearty chicken pastas, enjoy mouth-watering dishes that spice up your weeknights. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Okay, does this happen to anybody else? You sit down with a juicy QPC, some McNuggets, and those golden fries from McDonald's. Then you take a long sip of your Sprite because you can still hear your mama saying, don't fill up on that drink before you eat your food. But you're grown now, so you do what you want.
Share and share alike with the 20-piece McNuggets from McDonald's for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. When it's cold, the last thing you want is your home's heater to quit on you. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our team of comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. From simple repairs to more complex fixes, we'll get you warm and comfortable quickly. Just call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com. Don't forget, we're
always on time or you don't pay it time. Always on time or you don't pay it time.
independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Still haven't filed your taxes? Hey, you're not the only one. A lot of good people fall behind. But here's the thing. The longer you wait, the harder the IRS can hit back. Penalties stack up. Interest piles on. The letters get more aggressive. None of it magically disappears. It's why I always tell folks, call my friends at Advanced Tax Solutions. These are not generalists. They don't dabble in tax problems. They live in this world. Resolving IRS issues is all they do. Maybe you're 1 year behind. Maybe you're 10. Maybe you've got unfiled returns, wage garnishments, bank levies, or you're just losing sleep wondering what the IRS is going to do next. Their licensed tax professionals can step in fast, talk to the IRS for you, stop the stress, and start putting a real plan in place. And listen, waiting never makes it better. Every day you delay is another day the IRS gets to tighten the screws. One quick call to Advanced Tax Solutions, that could be the start of a quick resolution. So take control of your tax situation before the IRS does. Reach out to Advanced Tax Solutions today and breathe again.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303 Law 4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303 Law 4040.
Looking for the best deal on TRT? Don't pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket for a franchise or settle for one of those one-size-fits-all from your doctor just because they take your insurance. At Synergetics and Low T Center, you can get powerful TRT dosed to your body and get it covered by insurance. Synergetics and Low T Center work with your insurance plans and customize each dose of TRT for maximum effectiveness and safety. It's TRT that actually works with your body. And this February, they're offering free testosterone tests and discounted peptides and GLP-1s to make getting your life back as easy as possible. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to Synergetics.com or LowTCenter.com to book an appointment online.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by ROX, Rocks Heating and Air.
Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By.
The biggest needs of the Broncos: wide receiver, running back, middle linebacker, and tight end. We've gone over the first three. We're discussing linebacker. Wide receiver, excuse me. We're discussing wide receiver. Chad would go with the current room and use that first-round pick on whether it be Jordan. Is Jordan Tyson specifically the guy, or would you?
Yeah, I think he's the guy. If it just is impossible, it costs way too much. I think Denzel Boston is a plan B on that, and he's probably going to be available in that 30 range, end of the first round, start of the second round type of area, the guy from Washington.
And this is an eventual Sutton replacement. Eventually.
This is someone who can be a true number one. A game breaker, a guy that defenses have to game plan for. I don't think that exists in their current wide receiver room.
Before I give you my guys, Dante, do you agree with that with Chad that they don't currently have the game breakers? Cortland, not.
I do agree with that sentence, but I maybe disagree with the thought that they need a game breaker at wide receiver now.
I think Marvin Mims could be I'm the biggest Marvin Mims fan in the world. So I'll give you my this is what I want the Broncos to do. The Tyler Algier at running back, I understand people might not like that. Here's what I would do if I was the Broncos at wide receiver. I think you still need more time to find out what you have with Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin. I think you know what you have at Mims, and he might get an extension. Cortland, I don't think they're moving on from. That's what I don't think they're doing. People can debate if they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to. I would sign Mike Evans. I would have Mike Evans come in on a 1-year deal because the goal is to Super Bowl to come off of everything. You don't get locked in to this long-term contract. You don't pick up Waddle's contract. You don't overpay Pickens. You don't use draft picks for either of those guys. I would bring in Mike Evans. I think he helps you with third down. I think it helps you with goal line. I think it gives more ability for the other guys to grow. Franklin and Bryant, and more specifically, get a better understanding of who you have in those guys. Pat Bryant, the talent's not the issue. The health is going to become an issue with him. The concussions are concerning. The hamstring went last year. We didn't have anybody at the end of the year. So for me, it's not splashy. It's a big name. It's a Hall of Famer. It's a guy that's probably lost a step. He is coming off an injury. I just don't think you have to break the bank financially or with draft picks. I have Mike Evans and I have Cortland Sutton, and I think that just helps the other guys become a little more useful in the passing game.
I'm kind of in the same train of thought as you are here. I don't think you need to totally remake it and restructure the room in terms of bringing in an elite number one. And anyway, I have a lot of my other resources going to other positions, so I think they won't invest as much into this. I still like the idea of bringing in a Tyreek Hill, a Christian Kirk, a Wan'Dale Robinson. I think somebody in that
Wan'Dale Robinson's a good one.
Would interest me a lot more than using 2 first-round picks to go up and get Jordan Tyson. If that's what they decide to do, I do think Jordan Tyson would be a home run here. I think he fits incredibly well with the wide receiver room that already exists here, and I think he can elevate that and be a true number one, an all-pro kind of guy in the NFL one day. So I wouldn't hate that move, but I think it's more likely that they kind of just smooth out the edges almost with one of the guys I'm talking about there. Not a crazy high financial investment you're going to have to make for any of those guys either. It could be maybe 1-2 year kind of contract there and not crazy high AAV on that. So I like one of those 4 guys to round out the room.
So of the 4 positions we all are in agreement on with the biggest areas of need, the only names that came up potentially drafting at their current spot of number 30 were either Kenyon Sadiq or Denzel Boston.
Right.
A tight end or a wide receiver. So we're saying there's 4 positions of need, but looking at their first round pick, we're only looking at potentially 2 of them.
Well, typically you don't take an inside linebacker in the first round. I think you have to be a very special player for that to be who you're drafting there. And then what was the other wide receiver and running back? Same thing with running backs. You don't see a lot of first round running backs in the NFL draft. Usually you can just get better value taking these guys in second, third, fourth round. Or we see guys go undrafted in pop. We see guys go in the 6th or 7th round in pop. So I don't think it would be a good use of their resources to take a different position other than tight end or wide receiver in the first round.
So what is the reaction going to be like if there's 4 clear-cut positions of need and none of them are the pick at number 30?
That could happen. What I would say real quick to wide receiver and tight end is those are positions that we discussed trading up for as well. That if Kenyon Sadiq's your guy and you feel like you might not get him, Jordan Tyson's a guy you got to trade up for. Running back, linebacker, and to an extent tight end, honestly. Traditionally, you can find better success in those middle rounds with
or at
those
least
guys. Value. And if you're picking at 30, the game-breaking tight end or wide receiver, maybe Sadiq falls to you. I think it's more so their draft position. That middle linebacker is not going to be there at 30. That's this true come-in day one starter unless you find a guy. So I think it's more about where they're picking and where they could be. And I'm sorry, your question, if the day comes and they don't draft any of those 4,
right, because that's all any of these shows on our stations or anywhere else or any podcast, any blog, anybody that writes, that's all anybody is talking about is 4 positions, and we're looking at getting to number 30 and maybe not drafting any of them.
You know what I think? I think they go defensive or offensive line in the first round. I don't think they're going to take one of these positions. Kenyon Sadiq being maybe a guy that's there would be the reason. I think they try to address everything in free agency. I think they're not youthful along the offensive line or defensive line right now. Maybe you look at Q Robinson as a guy. I think they're going interior trenches in the first round. So I can see that happening.
Yeah, I come from the school of thought that you can never go wrong taking offense or defensive line either. So it wouldn't be the splashy pick that people want. But if you take an offensive lineman, like what John's talking about, I think that means maybe Ben Powers isn't back at guard or something like that, because you don't want to have the same thing happen as what just happened with Jahdae Barron, where you take a first-round draft pick on offensive linemen, and you already have 5 established offensive linemen there that are all pretty good there. You got a couple all-pros there. So I just don't think it makes sense to take a guy if he's not going to step in and make a difference in year one.
There will be outrage, to answer your question. There will be people will be very mad because everybody will have an Omari and Hampton in their head that they want to draft, and the Broncos won't do it, and they'll say it's Jahdae Barron all over again. The reaction can be tempered based on what they do in free agency. So if they don't go out, because keep in mind at the time that they drafted Jahdae Barron, J.K. Dobbins was not on this team. So the running back room was Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Bidet.
But the difference this year is free agency happening before the draft. They've got money for it.
Right. So I think I'd have to see what they do in free agency first. Where I have it, you have Nakobe Dean, so you have like a splash.
I have two splashes.
You have 2 splashes.
I have, make a couple moves here and there, whether that's renegotiating Ben Powers, whether that's, dumping Stiddy. Like, find a way to save another $4 to $6 million and spend about $30 million on 2 guys that'll be enormous difference makers. And that's Travis Etienne and Nakobe Dean.
And you have 1 splash with Breece Hall.
I would say I have 2. I have Kenyon Sadiq in the first round as well. To me, that would be a splash.
If they trade up, I think it would be a splash. If he's there and they take him, I think that's just a really exciting pick.
Yes. Well, either I think it's something that fans would be excited about, which to me that means splashy. But yeah, it would be to go out and get an Etienne or Breece Hall, and then go out and get your guy Kenyon Sadiq, whether you have to trade up 10 slots or whatever you have to do to get him.
But it sounds like the agreement between you two, I want Tyler Algier, so I'm not as splashy. Now, I'm not going to flip if it's Etienne or Breece Hall. I'm not going to lose my mind. I don't want to pay Breece Hall. That I think that the money's just going to be too long, but I'm not going to flip out. But I think where we get the agreement with you two, and I would get on board with it, is they have to go grab one of the top names in the running back free agent market. That this lack of ability to have a consistent great runner since, oh my gosh, who was the last elite? Clinton Portis? The last elite?
In terms of elite, I mean, Mike Anderson had good seasons, and but I mean, elite, yes.
It's been 20 years.
Portis.
It's been over 20 years. So you all think enough of this draft, enough thinking you can identify the guy. This guy's good. He's going to be available. Pay him. I can get on board. I mean, I'm not against that at all.
But you have to be willing to give him the football, and not just tolerate giving him the football.
And does he know that? That's going to be interesting. Yes, I mean that's going to be interesting. Is the back's going? Am I getting the ball? Mr. Run Tolerant, Mr. Run the Ball written on your play sheet. Who's calling the plays? I think that's an interesting one. There's a few names that did not come up when we've been discussing how we want to do these rooms, tight end, middle linebacker, wide receiver, and running back. There's a few names that didn't come up from any of us. And I'm going to bring them up in the next segment, and I want you guys to tell me why you do not want the Broncos to go after these players, and we'll do all of that next.
After missing 16 games with a knee injury, is something wrong with Nikola Jokic?
I'm watching Jokic, and if you're just looking at the stat sheet, and Adelman's, quoting the stats after the game, and I got it. But if you know the standard that Jokic has set for himself for us to judge him by, I mean, we're just not seeing the best version of that guy right now.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
What's going on, gentlemen? Yes, I am back. Feel the Deal is here, and I'm here to talk to you about erectile dysfunction. Guys, ED is an intimacy destroyer, and research out there shows that men can draw away from their partners when erectile dysfunction affects their sex life. The conditions can cause stress, anxiety, depression, and even worse. A man's partner can blame themselves when ED becomes a problem, and no partner should be blaming themselves. It's on you. Go get treated. And where are you going to go get treated? At Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Their treatments work when the pills and herbals fail you. They have treatments with success rates well over 90%. And some of their treatments can have you last an hour or even more if you have that much stamina. So what you're going to do is schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today. Your initial visit is only $99, and this will include a medical consult with a Colorado licensed medical provider, a TMPSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. And here's the thing, gentlemen, if the test dose does not work in the office, the visit is free. They also have 5 locations out there to serve you, so there are no excuses. Go get treated. You can go to Fort Collins, North Denver, Central Denver, Castle Rock, and Colorado Springs. So give them a call today at 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Hey, it's Flo here to say drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
Nice! With my new savings, I'll get some hiking gear. It'll be great for my outdoor era.
I don't know if it counts as an era if you just buy stuff.
I got a cute hiking backpack. It's an outdoor era.
Well, you only bought one thing. I don't think it's an era.
Well, I think we're in a agree to disagree era.
Yeah, sure, you're probably right. Anyway, with the money you could save by switching to Progressive, you can afford to switch to other things in life. It's
my savings era.
Also, everything you do is not an era.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you worrying about those upcoming credit card bills after the holidays? If you're a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing and wipe out that debt, eliminate the stress, and set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the 4th time in December. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate in the low 5s. You heard that right, in the low 5s. That is a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rate. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise to start the new year. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to see how much you can save. And they are closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans. Call them today at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000 or online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 start at 6.196% for well-qualified buyers. Call 303-695-7000 for details about credit costs and terms.
Hi, I'm Brad Barnett, president and founder of Mountain High Appliance. This President's Day, enjoy huge savings at all of our showrooms. Whether you're replacing a single appliance or planning a full kitchen remodel, we've got you covered. From freezers starting at $199 to complete kitchen packages starting at only $19.99. Plus, save up to $4,200 on select KitchenAid packages. And our price match guarantee means you'll always receive the best pricing. When you think appliances, think Mountain High Appliance.
Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store.
Thank you.
For many of us, it's happened before. Your hair is thinning, crowns disappearing. Maybe the hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. The solution that worked for me, it's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts growing your own natural hair the very next day. And it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if you want your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Paul's, it's not maybe your hair will regrow, it's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
A lot of personal injury lawyers make claims about how good they are. But how do you know who's the best? Who will fight to get you the money you deserve? At Berg Simpson, we don't rely on simple claims like other firms. We have 27 best lawyers in America, 17 super lawyers, and we're one of the National Trial Lawyers' top 25 most influential law firms. Compare us to other firms, then call Berg Simpson.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Stream Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Dover and Cecil, The Drive, and all your favorite shows on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan app. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Happy President's Day, Denver. In for Zach By and Phillip Lindsay, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
The Jay-Z Hard Knock Life. Rest in peace. This was produced by a guy named the 45 King. He also produced Eminem's Stan. Oh, this is a different song that uses the same sample. But either way, 45 King. All right, Dante, Chad. We're talking about what we would like to see the Broncos do. Tight end, middle linebacker, running back, wide receiver. I'm going to give you some names that did not come up. And I want you to tell me why it doesn't interest you. I think I have a good idea on why it doesn't. Jalen Waddle.
Too much money. Not interested. Doesn't fit the long-term need for me in terms of being an all-out, absolute nightmare to prepare for. Good receiver, not an elite receiver.
I agree. I don't want to give up the pick and the contract. Definitely not giving up a first-round pick. Is there a pick you'd be willing to give up for Jalen Waddle?
I mean, you have 9, and 9 guys are not going to make this team. So if those conversations start to happen, then, okay, we're picking up the phone, we're listening, but it's definitely, 5th round later stuff when you start talking about trades. Or I think they have 2/4.
Something like that, yeah. But I agree on Jalen Waddle. Kind of your assessment of him. To me, it'd be like when the Dolphins traded for Bradley Chubb. Good player, can succeed, but not the game breaker, not the all pro that we're potentially looking for.
And it's the assessment of the Broncos right now. I don't want to hear about 14-3, number 1 seed. They're very good. I don't think they're great. They need great to go from good to great. They need great players. Very good players keep them very close to where they are right now.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle, Dante.
I wouldn't mind Waddle. I think if you can do it for a 3rd-round pick, I'd be interested in something like that. The speed, I think, is game-breaking, and he's shown that he's not going to be a diva wide receiver, at least to this point in his career. He doesn't seem to cause issues in locker rooms, so I think he's what you're looking for as far as a locker room guy goes, and I think the speed is just different. I get a little worried that he would get stuck in the mix of what Troy Franklin is, of what Marvin Mims is, of what Pat Bryant is, but I think he's a notch above all those guys I just named. Not even a notch. Actually, I think he's pretty handily above all those guys.
You could argue he might be the best receiver they have day one. He might be above Cortland, but I'm with you on the supply and demand aspect of it. A 3rd-round pick is maybe as high as I'm willing. I'm not giving a 2nd or a 1st-round pick for him and getting the contract. Again, Chad, very good wide receiver, but it's not Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. It's not that. Okay. Next guy who I think is better than Jalen Waddle as a player, George Pickens. Chad, George Pickens. Why no to George Pickens?
Not interested. Not interested in the attitude. Not interested in the history. Not interested in the money. Yes, I want them to have more of a top-tier elite threat. It's not the guy that I think is a match for this offense, this team, this head coach, this quarterback, as much as they've raved about how Cortland Sutton fits the mold of exactly what they're looking for. George Pickens is not that.
But, for one, I agree. We already watched Jerry Jeudy take – you can't have a guy taking plays off in a game out of frustration. You cannot have that, and therefore I'm not paying a guy all that money. Talent-wise, I think he is in that CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and that's why I think people talk about it. The compensation combined with you don't know what you're going to get out there. George Pickens, Dante.
I think I'll pass, too. I just think the only season we've seen him not be a headache was this year, and it's a contract year, and guys can be on their best behavior for 1 year. We see it in baseball all the time when guys go out and have career years in their contract year, and then they show up, get this big payday, and they're a headache again. So I think I'm out on him too. And I mean, if he was all that good, why don't the Cowboys want to keep him in Dallas?
Yeah, and Pickens. Here's the problem, or where the pause comes. For one, I'm not trading picks and paying it. It's too much. He'll win you 1 to 2 games himself. I mean, he's that good. He is that good of a player. So you talked about they could have a headache guy. They were going to bring in Stephon Diggs this year. Diggs said that before the Super Bowl. Diggs isn't okay. He's not without distractions. I'll say that. And I think the George Payton ties to Minnesota might have had a lot to do with that. But if the guy wins you 1 to 2 games a year, is he not worth the headache?
I think you're just reallocating money to that wide receiver room, and we saw how bad that wide receiver room was for a while there while they were paying all these guys. They had one of the most expensive wide receiver rooms in the country, or in the league. And
the country.
Country's more when you're referring to college, but
Well,
that's what I meant.
They can't compare with Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can.
And we just didn't see a lot of production there. I just don't think this team is in a position to allocate all that kind of money towards wide receivers.
I agree. I think it's a move a bad organization makes.
It's a big part of the reason why I want them to target that game breaker in the draft and have them on a rookie contract and then reevaluate after you're done paying Cortland Sutton, more so than I want them to go get a guy that costs a bunch right now.
And a draft pick. And I think that's one thing that I think's come out. It worked with Matt Stafford, so before everybody hops all over me, and I'm not saying Pickens or Waddle would necessarily fit this, teams that go all in don't win. It's too much picks, draft picks and contracts. We talked about it last year, Chad, you and I, either right after Micah Parsons was traded, and we both agreed I wouldn't have done that trade. I don't want to pay him. How's the Sauce Gardner trade working out right now? How did Micah Parsons work out? Maybe that works out down the line. I think you just have to be a lot more you don't have to go all in. It doesn't work. You can get quality players without overpaying for like a George Pickens. Is there any names we didn't go over today that either of you have targeted?
Alec Pierce would be a guy I would be definitely interested in at the receiver position if the other things that I would prioritize over that don't pan out. If they're not paying a running back, if they're not paying an inside linebacker, right? If the money goes in a different direction, that would be the guy that I would look at.
Yeah, I like Chad's idea of Alec Pierce. I'd have to do more research to really dive in and see anybody else, but I threw out a handful of wide receivers. I still think Tyreek Hill and Christian Kirk could be interesting in this room. Not crazy high-priced guys, but I don't think you're getting a complete sleeper to come in here and make a huge difference on this team.
What do you think they do at wide receiver?
I think they probably run it back with what we see.
I think they run it back with a veteran of some sort.
I think Sean Payton likes his guys, and once you're his guy, you're kind of just his guy for a while.
Yeah, swap out Lil Jordan Humphrey for a veteran X, and then when they have an injury, Lil Jordan will be back again.
Exactly.
And then he'll go into the Ring of Fame 5 years from now. Dante, thanks for hanging with us today. It was so much fun, man.
Guys.
You did a great job. Chad, really good. I'll be on The Drive Friday, and you'll be on Denver Sports Tonight on Friday.
Yep.
So we'll talk to everybody then.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan's Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus